Welcome.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast at 4:58 and 3 seconds PM on the 3rd of November 2013. It's a Sunday. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp.
Sunday.
And Zachary Burgess.
You forgot to say it was GMT.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's very important that it's GMT now. Because it hasn't been in previous times.
The best time.
Like a whole 6 months is.
6 months is.
Is it split into? It is split into 6 months, is it, or is it just me? Is it half and half?
Probably approximately, I guess.
Yeah, well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Yes. Anyway, it is dark. I have closed the shutters.
Kinda, yeah.
Because I don't have
slightly more than 6 months. Like just counting out on my fingers, but then my memory for when it actually does go forward in the first place is bad.
Okay.
Probably not too reliable. Indeed.
It could be 6 months based on when I remember things.
Theoretical news.
you said monthers then, or monthses.
Yeah.
So I was listening to something. I was on the radio. It was some news. It was some like
you were listening to some non-theoretical news.
Yeah, some actual news, and it was like some foreign person talking about months. But I don't know. You shouldn't make fun of people's accents, but he was just sort of saying monthies all the time. It's like it's been going on for 6 monthies. I found that kind of interesting. Okay. It's like where does the month ease come from? Like what would make you say ease on the end of month?
Oh, that one doesn't make much sense. But for no particular reason, earlier I was thinking, I don't know why, but I just thought, the word catalogue is sort of like an E at the end. Like catalogue.
with like a U, isn't it?
Or yeah, it's catalogue U, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like catalogue.
It must be French, right? Or something.
Well, it should be catalogue, like rogue, surely. Catalogue.
I guess so.
He's a dashing catalogue.
Does that mean we're going to end up with catalogue likes? Like
just
games entirely about filing.
Those exist already, and they're not about catalogs.
I guess that's Pokemon, right?
No,
filing of Pokedex.
Basically, papers, please, isn't it?
I guess
that's basically about filing. Apart from you file stuff in and then you file it back out.
No one's made a game about filing a tax return yet.
I wouldn't bet on that. I bet they probably have.
Yeah, probably. Have any of you played Papers, Please? Is it worth it?
No, I kind of want to.
It sounds interesting in like a depressing kind of way.
That'll be for Christmas sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. Or I don't know. I reckon it's a highly likely candidate to be in the next Humble Bundle or something like that.
Possibly, but then. What else might go in there that you'd even want? That's the problem with the Humble Bundle.
I don't know, this week's Humble Weekly sale is kind of tempting. Like, not for reasons that I particularly want to play, but it's the Team 17 weekly sale, and which means that there's tons of Worms games on offer, which may mean one of the videos that is one of our highest rated videos of Zach and I playing Worms United for some reason. Yeah, so maybe we should do another Worms video.
Well, we said in that video we were going to do Worms 2 and then never did, so...
True. Well, we haven't quite figured out because there's potentially some problems with getting Worms 2 to run.
I got it running last time I tried.
Oh, did you? Good.
Yeah.
Because there was a period where I looked it up why it was not running, but because it relies on a bit of DirectX that is no longer supported by graphics cards.
Mm-hmm.
Some weird rendering method.
Yeah, they used. Well, it's like I think it was when Direct 2D initially came out, like when it was called Direct 2D, and then they changed it to Direct Draw. Yeah. And then I think maybe Direct 2D is a thing again. I'm not sure.
No, they got rid of Direct 2D again, I think.
Okay. Is there anything called Direct 2D? Don't base your technology on it. It will die.
Apparently.
But you could make Worms 2 run, with DOSBox or something? Or...
No, just in Windows 7.
Oh, right, okay. Do you need compatibility mode or something? Even that's not going to help.
What I actually had to do.
If
I
your
had to
graphics
fuck with
card...
it slightly. It was probably a patch of some kind.
New from Robco, the Zachary Burgess...
Graphics card fucker, right?
OS fucker.
How is your PC? Is it working all right, Zeg?
It's developed a suspicious, vibration somewhere in there, or what sounds like a vibration. But it's not like a fan vibration.
It's not a good vibration. Then.
No, it's like some kind of different vibration that's clearly not coming from a fan.
That's the lesser known B-side. Different vibration.
Well,
I can't work out where it's coming from. I thought it was coming out of my hard disk, which is very bad. But I don't know where my hard disk actually is, so I'm actually going to have to open my case up and look.
Or if it's a normal design, it'll be mounted at the front bottom, won't it? But...
Well, I thought it was... Because the trouble is, on my case, there's a fan right at the front bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's I thought...
Perhaps we shouldn't call it the front bottom.
And then there's clearly there's spaces for stuff that should be mounted like that, because it's got one of those quick release mounting things at the front.
Oh, sure.
But I don't think there's actually anything in it. And I'm like, well, I'm sure the hard disk was in there. There doesn't seem to be anything in this gap. But that sounds like what it's. It sounds like the humming is coming from that area of the front panel, and it's not the CD drive, and it's not the fan at the bottom. So there's something in that gap where I think the hard disk might be if I could just find it.
Now might be the time to consider a backup.
Yeah, I did that earlier.
Oh, good.
On my dodgy ass external hard disk. I think if either of those two hard disks is more likely to fail, it's probably the external one.
Yeah.
At this point.
Did I tell you I had that problem where it wouldn't let me? It wouldn't let me. Those Windows restore point things. It wouldn't let me back one up onto my massive terabyte hard disk for some reason. It wouldn't let me choose it as a target for no reason.
So weird.
Yeah. Too big.
It's just dumb. I don't know.
I'm not sure I'd ever do it Windows just has never been good at it. Doing proper backups. So I was wondering. I don't think I'd ever would just back up a system like that. I'd just back up the important files.
Yeah, sure.
Stick them somewhere else.
It's just I had a BSOD or something happened a while back, and I thought, if this happened, it was like, do you want to restore from a restore point or whatever, or do you want to just try anyway? And I was like, well, I haven't got any restore point thing immediately. And I thought, well, and then it booted up again. It worked fine. I thought, well, I don't know what the hell that was, but I'm going to make a restore point so that next time it works. And I can't, because my C drive is a tiny solid state drive, and my massively capacious data drive, it won't let me do it onto. So, fail.
There may be some filthy settings you can go and find. And
yeah, well, I Googled it, obviously, and there were various people saying, oh, this isn't, or your disk isn't in the right mode or something, but I checked everything and it all looked fine, so I don't know what it was. Anyway.
I wonder if it enforces a rule that it has to go on the drive where Windows is.
Well,
maybe they'll...
Yeah, well, that's mental.
Because it's not really... System restore is not really a backup, though, is it?
No. It's like a... Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Anyway.
Just copy the entire contents of the SSD.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, probably. Yeah, quite easily, because it's not very big, and I've got terabytes of space on the other one, so... Yeah, don't know.
I saw that, 2 terabyte drives have become pretty cheap now.
So yeah, that's why I've got a 2 terabyte, I think.
Yeah. I was thinking
you had to wait until the flood damage had recovered.
Yeah.
For a while, it was impossible to buy them. Yeah. Anyway, but now it's fine.
Because I was thinking about it. I'm in two minds about if I decide to go and build a NAS drive or something, or a file server, that whether or not to just have 2 terabyte drives just running normally, so I end up with 4 terabytes of storage, or just to RAID 1 them or something and have completely mirrored.
Yeah, there's various RAID schemes, aren't there? I mean,
RAID 1's just total mirroring, so if one drive dies, you have everything. Whereas I think the other RAID schemes can detect where there's problems and maybe sort them out, but you're likely to lose something.
Right, okay. Well, RAID 1, I guess, you get absolute certainty because you've doubled everything. Plus, presumably, you also get faster speed, right? Because that's the whole point of RAID.
So I think a lot of the 100% survivability RAID setups are the ones where you need more than 2 drives. I think if you have 3, then you can do some fancy stuff where if any one of the 3 drives fails, the other 2 can pick up all of the slack.
Yeah.
And it's I guess that's the ideal if you're building something like that. Go for some ridiculous thing set up like that. But
yeah, I don't know. I've never had a hard disk fail, but I mean, apparently they fail all the time. If you know,
I've had one fail in my lifetime, and that was a really old.
I had one possibly fail.
Actually, I'm not sure I have. Actually, thinking about
it, the only one that I ever had, I'm not sure whether it was actually a problem with the hard disk or whether it was just something that went wrong. But all it was it corrupted the file table, so all the data was actually there.
Yeah, my laptop fucked up like that before.
Yeah, so that was the one that I recovered.
Yeah, but that's not actually an actual busted.
Well, I don't know. It could theoretically have been a hard disk failure, just happened to have happened inside the file table.
Yeah, you could have had a corrupted sector inside the MFT, which would be bad.
And then the other mysterious problem that I've been having with my PC is, like, for no apparent reason, one of the host processors was spiking my CPU using, like, one of the cores. And I was like...
Was it one of the SVC hosts?
Yeah, one of the hosts. So then I went into like, the Process Explorer so I could see which process it was. And it was like, well, apparently it's network location awareness. So I was like, well, what the fuck is doing that? Because it was spiking the CPU and, like, it wasn't really dropping the internet connection. It was just like, there'd be a moment where nothing would get through. And sometimes if you happened to be browsing to a web page at that exact moment, Chrome would be like, I can't load this. And then you hit reload and it would just go. And I was like, well, what the fuck is doing this? And then I was just like, well, and so I Googled it for ages, trying to work out anything about network location awareness and what the fuck it even does.
Yeah.
And I eventually came to the conclusion that probably you can just turn that off. So I turned it off, turned that service off, and it's weird because it works fine, except the little Windows the toolbar icon.
Is it the Solution Center thing?
No, it's the toolbar icon for, like, the networking, because obviously I'm on the wireless. The networking icon just starts freaking out. It basically doesn't think you're connected, but you're totally connected. So I was like, well, that's fine, I guess. And maybe that will stop those CPU spikes, and so I'll see. So I tested it with network location awareness off for a while, and then like, oh no, it's spiking CPU again. So I went into Process Explorer again, and it's like, now it's the DNS client for some reason that's spiking the CPU. Turn that off as well, because apparently you don't need that either.
This is all network stuff for when you're on a LAN, I guess, and you're not really...
It's more about domain discovery, I think, about that.
Yeah. So apart from the bit where the Windows, like, networking icon bar and, like, the connection to the router kind of freaked out, but the internet still worked. But the trouble is, I turned those two things off, and, like, the CPU spike went away, but I'm not entirely sure the connection dropping went away. But then because it doesn't spike the CPU any longer, there's no obvious indication when it's happening.
Oh.
So I can't tell as easy.
That is real
but it
weird.
doesn't interrupt like streaming of anything, does it? Or
well, maybe it does. I've been having some trouble. Like, the quality of video streams will get stuck really low, as if it's dropping connection over and over or something, and I just can't tell that it is. So yeah, that sucks. So then I turned it last night when I was having more connection problems that were probably unrelated. I was just like, oh fuck, I'll turn them back on and see if the CPU spikes are still there or not. See whether it's mysteriously fixed itself while they've been off.
And did it?
I don't know yet.
There we go.
I haven't had enough time to see whether it will happen again.
That is weird. I mean, I don't know if there's some underlying Windows problem, but we've been having a lot of trouble at work with some of our systems just spiking SVC hosts. It wasn't network awareness for us. It's been different every time. Like, one of them was Windows Update for some reason.
Right.
That got totally stuck.
Windows Update being dodgy, that was not that surprising.
No, that's fairly common. But not in a CPU kind of way. We've had Windows Update get stuck in a state where it just used several gigs of RAM permanently until you restarted the system, which was really irritating. Especially on a till platform that has like 1 gig of RAM on it. It's like, oh god damn it. Yeah. Then we had one that was spiking CPU because of it. There was my boss's laptop actually had a a weird one where he'd ended up with a search assistant somehow.
Somehow.
Well, it wasn't like a toolbar or anything like that. It was just a hidden search. It was called like Search Assist, literally.
Right.
But the process was being hosted under an SVC host.
Well, stealthy.
Yeah, and that was causing him problems. So yeah, there's been a whole run of it. I don't know why. Why does everything have to be an SVC host? God damn it! It's really irritating. That's the thing, because not everything is inside the hosting process. It's like, it just seems, I guess it's some sort of wrapper for Windows to keep tabs on it, but it just makes finding out what it actually is real tricky.
So you just need to open up the Process Explorer thing.
Oh no, this one with Search Assist proved a little bit tricky. We had to run a query on it or something and get it to show what it was, like an error log from it or something that just happened to tell us what the program was. We had to dig deep to find this Search Assist thing. It's probably malwared to crap. But,
yeah.
Segue to news.
Yeah.
News segue.
Did you hear about the GTA 5 thing? GTA 5 for PC thing?
What about it? No.
Torrents have been surfacing about GTA 5 for PC. And
obviously, that's not a real thing, is it?
No, they weren't. They were like 18... They were 18 gig downloads that people would then download, and then it would present them with a fairly, what's the word? A fairly genuine looking installer, but I guess how hard is that to make?
Yeah.
And then as part of the process, obviously it had, do you want to type in, you need a key? Do you want to give us a key?
So they packed in a key generator.
Well, no, they didn't. They didn't. They packed in a text file that told you everything you needed to do to get hold of the key. And of course, this was fill in a ton of surveys and sign up for partner things. So, the guys that put this out were obviously making money out of that. And then you type the key into the installer, and what does it do? It's 18 gigs of malware.
How is it possible to be 18 gigs of malware?
I don't know.
18 gigs of malware exists in the world in total.
That's awesome.
It's the most retarded thing.
18 gigs. How do
they were
you
going to make
that
an actual 18 gig file and go through the trouble of having a whole fucking 18 gigs and then host it and then torrent it and then upload it, you might as well just put like 18 gigs of horrible porn in there. That would have at least been funny.
That would have been very funny.
Much more likely, yeah. How do you even find 18 gigs of malware to like package up?
You'd have to make sure that the porn was possibly the worst stuff you could find, because these are going to be kids doing this, right? So it's like,
relatively speaking. Kids playing Grand Theft Auto, you know.
Oh, totally. Also, did you see on the news? It was on Have I Got News for You this week, actually, where they had an old lady taking out her frustration on
British
cats. Oh, I did see that. British cats.
Walking around the streets beating people up.
I saw that original video. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Oh, because she wasn't flying that goddamn helicopter. That was like quite precisely shooting up that gasworks.
That was clearly not.
But she might have just been voiceovering someone else play it. But.
Yeah, although they did put a controller in her hands, you could sometimes see. So maybe she was doing a bit of the beating people up on the street, but I don't think she was doing the crazy other stuff in that video. That was awesome.
It's still pretty funny.
I was a bit disappointed because it said like Gamer Granny or whatever on the YouTube channel, and you click and there aren't any other videos. It's like, well, that's an obvious awesome. I thought this was like going to be the viral one from a whole string of them, but no, it's the first one.
That would be pretty cool, actually, isn't it? Wouldn't it? If you had like a. I guess they're not interested in YouTube. They play games, but for some reason,
sure there'll be plenty of channels along those lines.
Yeah,
if you care to look.
I'm
sure there's pretty much channels for anything you could ever want ever.
Gamer Granny seems to be the name to get.
Or well, whatever it was, I don't know. She seemed genuinely pissed off about the British gas tax hike, price, sorry.
Of course, it's done.
Yeah, well, it's really high, isn't it? 15% or something?
Well, I think what's really dumb about it is how their main excuse was like, green taxes, because that's not going to piss everyone off.
Because they haven't. Well, this is the thing. Green taxes must have come into effect several months ago.
Well, it doesn't matter.
If they made changes to them, which I'm not sure they did.
It doesn't matter anything about what the green taxes are or when they haven't. Just using that as an excuse of why people have to pay more, because that's basically the companies being like, fuck green.
Yeah.
And that's a bad thing.
It's not helping it doesn't help their PR either way, does it?
No.
The funniest thing is that they posted on their Facebook page like pretty soon after that announcement was made, saying, "Hey, we can help you in your homes," with like one of those cheesy graphics they have of their planet things. That Facebook picture alone, by the time I looked at it, or someone posted it like earlier in the morning, and it said, "Wow, there's 20,000 bad comments on here. You must read this." And I'm like, "All right, I'll have a look." By the time I got to it, there was 50,000, and it's in the same day, and it's like, oh, some of them were hilarious. All of them bad.
Naturally. What was that other thing? Speaking of news and moving it vaguely more towards video games and Twitter, there was, I can't remember what company it was, but there was that Twitter post where they were like,
is this theoretical news again?
No. Well, I remember the news, but I don't remember the company. It was some company's Twitter, and they posted where they were like, "Oh, our programming staff put in 17,500 hours of crunch to get this product done."
Oh, was it healthcare.gov?
No.
Oh, right. It wasn't that. Okay.
No,
because there was some ridiculous claim about healthcare.gov where like they talked about like millions of lines of code or something, and it was like it turned out to be more code than in like the Joint Strike Fighter or something. And it's like
they just made some shit up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but this one was like some game company who was like, our programming staff put in tons of hours of crunch, and then that was in like a series of Twitter posts that were saying like how awesome they were, and it was like, that's not actually awesome.
No.
Forcing people to do a shit ton of crunch is not necessarily a good thing.
No.
Ever since like EA Spouse and like I don't know, the whole business with LA Noire and all of that, like treat employees properly.
Well, the thing is it's kind of a meaningless statement in a way, unless you can. Presumably, someone followed up and found out how bad that really is based on the number of employees they had.
Because it was a company.
If you had 17,000 employees, that'd be nothing.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Just replace crunch with unpaid overtime, and there you go.
No, it wasn't how many hours they did. It was how many dinners were served in the cafeteria while they were crunching. And then all the replies to that Twitter comment were like, there was other smaller like indie game companies were like, "We had dinner at home every day with our family."
Oh dear.
Oh man. I want to know who this is now.
Yeah, theoretical news because I can't remember the actual name of the company.
So
no press is better press than bad press.
That's the best phrase I ever heard.
No press is better press than bad press.
Bad press on WordPress.
Wait. So you're saying no press is better than bad news? It's like, but people, isn't that the opposite of what people say? That bad news is better than no news?
I mean, not giving them any additional recognition by not even mentioning their name is better than saying their name and giving them more press.
So this is the Happy Salad Twitter challenge of the week. Go find what the fuck we're talking about.
No press is better press than bad press. Yeah, okay. I can see that from our point of view as the press in this analogy, which is hilarious.
It's a great way of wording it. It makes you think.
Makes you think.
And then you realise what the fuck you've said.
That's how thinking works.
Yeah, I know, but you have to think more about it than you would some other wording.
Okay.
So speaking about companies, like video game companies, and news actually, there's been
I was hoping
there's been a couple of closures.
Oh yeah,
like in the bad news front. So the guys that were sort of splintered off of 38 Studios.
When they failed and tried to regroup.
Yeah.
And then they failed again.
Well, they formed the rather aptly titled Impossible Games. And it turns out that was impossible.
That didn't work.
And so, unfortunately, that's been shuttered as well. So that really... I mean, those guys, seriously.
Well, the first time probably wasn't their fault, really.
No, but they've done... Well, to be honest, most of the employees, it's probably not their fault.
No.
But, man, that's a run of... A serious run of bad luck. And the other one of note is that EA cancelled Command & Conquer.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Did we talk about 2K Marin being shut as well? That's another one.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that last time.
Yeah. So now Command & Conquer. But from what I heard, that wasn't really shaping up. So maybe.
Well, no, because it went through the reason why they cancelled it all is they did some alpha testing. on focus groups, I suppose, and they were like, it was plainly obvious that this was not a game that the fans or anyone really wanted to play.
Okay, that must have been a great focus then.
Yeah, so they were basically like, well, there's no real point in continuing this. But they did sort of say, I forget what the studio was that was working on it, but they're disbanding that as well with the hope of, I suppose, transitioning the employees into other studios where they think the talent is.
So does that mean Command & Conquer is actually done now?
It might be, yeah.
After they said they weren't going to use the original universe, and then they did again, and then they were like, no, actually Generals 2. Oh wait, no, that's not going to do it either.
No. Maybe, yeah, I don't know, I reckon they'll reset, because they did, here's the kicker, they did, well, it's not really the kicker, it's just here's the extra little tidbit. They did say they were sort of thinking about what they could perhaps salvage, and presumably that means assets and things like that. Maybe they want to keep. What do you even do with those assets? I don't know. Maybe it sounded like perhaps they do want to try and save something out of all this, because it's been in dev for a while now. If you think of it, it's been several years that they've been working on this.
Use those assets to make another first-person shooter.
Yeah, I guess another Command & Conquer Renegade.
Renegade. Yeah. They already made that fan-made remake of Renegade, didn't they, on the Unreal Engine?
Oh yeah,
I actually played that. Obviously, that was probably hilarious because Renegade was hilarious.
Oh, Renegade was so bad. I tried to play it, and it was just so bad.
Should we do a quick look at it?
I guess we could, maybe.
I want to laugh.
Well, the worst part about it was because you were the commando. So obviously you had to see 4 buildings. Yeah. That's what the commando does. Yeah. But what that actually meant is you walk into the hand of Nod is just literally, because even in the game that was done. There's a little door and there's just a giant fucking statue of a hand.
It's this is where we train troops, in the hand of Doom.
So you walk into that front door of the hand of Nod, and then there's this really annoying, tedious underground concrete labyrinth. With
That's right.
Sleeping quarters or whatever and dudes in them that you fight your way through. And then you get to the bottom, and there's a control panel, and it's now plant the C4. But you just put the C4 on the control panel, and all the lights go red, and literally.
You mean they weren't before?
Well, yeah, they were before, but they're more red. More red. But as the instant after you place the C4, just the textures and everything in the building turn to look damaged. And then when you walk outside, it's oh, look at how it's damaged.
Oh, genius.
Oh, so it sort of explodes while you're in there.
No, it doesn't explode or anything. It's
just change your skin.
Yeah, basically.
Degrade.
It's not how C4 works.
So there's no explosion at all when you get
Well,
outside.
there's probably some kind of explosion, but the building still exists.
It explodes somewhere else. You put the C4 down and you just hear pooch off in the distance, and the whole building is affected.
It's that's not how you plant C4 on this one control panel that apparently manages the whole building somehow. I mean, I guess that's sort of how it would theoretically have worked in the original Command & Conquer, because he just goes in the building for half a second and then it explodes.
Yeah.
That's not really how C4 works either.
But that control panel is the future of the Nest thermostat.
Clearly.
Did he have a present for you? It's great.
Well, that is the question. I don't remember how much of the voice clips there were. I mean, the only good thing about Renegade was right at the start, where at the start of the mission, you're on the aircraft carrier, and then it looks over the shoulder of one of the ops guys, and it's on his screen is actual Command & Conquer, and the little hovercraft that you've just stolen with a commando on the Command & Conquer screen drives up to the edge of the land, and then he jumps out, and then it zooms into that, and then you start playing.
That's pretty
awesome.
cool.
That's actually cool.
That was cool.
But dumb.
I was sort of trying to conceal my personal dying of laughter there, because I just remembered that I used to confuse the sample of the commando in the first Command & Conquer when you said that was left-handed. I used to, for some reason, think he said that was laminated. Kills the dude and it's that was laminated. That was a record-breaking kill. I'm going to keep that one.
Indeed.
Cool.
So more news.
Well, various things going on, isn't there? I mean, the consoles are nearly coming out, right?
Yeah,
Nearly knew.
So
2 weeks till PS4 in America. 4 weeks until it hits here.
PS4. Can you tell me what the news is? Because I'm not sure I got
Oh yeah,
it
that news
correctly.
You better-
The news where like
about that.
half the cool stuff is in a day one patch or something. and
Well,
the
it's
stuff
like
that-
half of the cool stuff is in a day one patch, and then half of it isn't
Isn't
in
in
day one
Yeah,
patch.
the bit
Yeah.
that gets me that I think is a real slip up. I think is that a lot of the reason why people ended up buying PS3s, why a lot of non-gamers bought PS3s, was because it was a pretty good hub for streaming media too.
Yeah. Okay.
PS4 on launch is not. It
And also
cannot
isn't
stream.
going to be.
Well,
That
no,
was
they-
one of the things that I don't think they
Oh, I
said
don't know.
wasn't going to be on the day one patch.
it wasn't going to be at launch, and it wasn't going to be in the day one patch. So that doesn't necessarily rule out they can factor it in later. I mean, Sony worded it in typical fashion. Hey, we're listening to customer feedback, which tells you nothing.
No.
But yeah, out of the box, PS4 won't be able to do. It can't play compact discs. It can't play MP3s. It can't play. It's not DLNA compatible. And then Microsoft, I think today, came out and said, "Yeah, we can do that."
Does that mean you can't play Blu-ray on it then? You must be.
Oh, you can play Blu-rays. Yeah,
All right.
you'll
Is
be able
that
to play
not-
Blu-rays and DVDs, I think.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
this is the thing. Joystick worded the title in a great way because it's like Xbox One can play compact discs. Ask your parents.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
don't think comic this is that bad.
No. Close enough though. But but are you Xbox One can't just play MP3s off your hard disk though, can it? Off your network?
No, you can't put stuff onto the console like you could before.
Yeah.
So whether that means you can't play MP3s off of a memory stick, I'm not sure.
I
It
heard
sounds
PS4
like you might
can't,
not be able to.
Yeah, and PS4 can't take memory sticks at all, right? Is that right, or something? Or I don't know.
That's-
It can't
well,
take external hard drives.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right. It can take memory sticks then. Good. But it can't take external.
I
hard drives.
don't know. I don't think it's clear.
Well, yeah, they probably haven't said about memory sticks, but definitely not
Right.
external hard drives.
Mm.
If you want
Is-
to upgrade the hard drive, you actually have to put another internal one in there.
But at least you can. Whereas with
Yeah.
Xbox One, you can't upgrade the internal hard
Yeah.
disk.
I mean, I can kind of. I think it's a cock up, but at the same time, I can kind of see why Sony might be reluctant to put it in because it's one of those things that I suppose encourages torrenting and piracy and that kind of stuff because you can get hold of a file some way and stream it to your PS3
Oh, right,
rather than
yeah.
using the inbuilt services that they'll be trying to sell you.
Yeah, that's probably okay.
And it's kind of, Sony has got its fingers in a lot of pies in that sort of entertainment space, so it may be in their interests not to do it, but as I said, a lot of people bought PS3s because it was so good at that.
Yeah.
In fairness, it's still pretty good at that, so consumer advice from the Saladcast, if you want to stream media, buy a PS3.
Yeah, because even dedicated boxes aren't that great still. I don't know
No,
why,
they're
but
not.
like Apple TV or Boxy or whatever, they're not
Well,
good
people are
enough.
saying that a modified Ouya isn't bad.
Really?
Like, yeah, you'd like put, I think you could put like Xbox Media Center and stuff
Or
on.
Plex or whatever, yeah. Or whatever the Xbox Media Center fork you happen to like.
Actually, well, you shouldn't really call it Xbox Media Center anymore. It's XBMC.
XBMC, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though that's literally what those letters stand for.
Yeah, but it runs on so much stuff now.
Yeah. So what else?
So
And
on
the
the
suspend
PS
mode, right? Is the suspend
Yeah,
mode?
PS4
isn't in.
suspend mode isn't going to be there from the day
Is it
one
going to
patch.
be there eventually, though?
I would assume so. They've touted it quite highly.
Yeah, they talked
so
about it a lot, so I hope it's in there eventually. Because that sounds
It's
cool.
kind of weird that it's not there already, to be honest. I mean, and I think they also said partial downloads. I mean, like play while downloading your game isn't going to be there either.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because they did
on
tout
day
that
one.
pretty heavily as well.
Yeah, I mean, I find it weird that stuff's not working, which makes me that's kind of plus Microsoft, I guess, in this point, because I'm assuming the Xbox can do all that because
Well, they
haven't said that it's not going to be there, and they've also kind of said, hey, yeah, we can do that.
Right. Well, I
So
guess
at this point, the
proof is in the
assumption
pudding.
is that the Xbox will be doing that, and PS4 won't at launch. But in the PS4 corner, third-party games have been coming out and detailing how the differences between how they will be running on the two machines.
Yeah.
And a number have come out and said, yeah, the PS4 version is better.
Well,
Like,
I've seen
and giving you a hard figure, like Call of Duty Ghosts will run at 1080 on a PS4, but only run at 720 upscaled on an Xbox.
And this is confirmed the exact same deal by Digital Foundry on Battlefield 4 is that it runs at 1080 on PS4 and 720 on Xbox One. So these are the. I mean, I would say it's a bit odd with Call of Duty, considering the old tech it's running on. But Battlefield 4 tech is like really cutting edge. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
on
I can
PC.
kind of believe it a little more with Battlefield. I think someone said that Assassin's Creed might be in that boat as well.
I don't know about that because that game they already had to scale really badly to run on the old consoles. I guess that's the same with Call of Duty, but yeah, I'd be surprised if that didn't run at 1080 on.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird, and
what
I'm interested in is how that affects the Call of Duty community, because obviously Xbox has a much bigger community because its live services have been bigger.
It's not going to affect the community. It's going to just piss people off.
Well, this is what what I'm interested in is are people going to end up migrating? Are people going to buy the PS4 version with this knowledge, or are they going to stick to Xbox Live because of how well it's worked in the past? I mean, admittedly, PSN's future multiplayer stuff is a bit of an unknown, so maybe this time round it won't affect anything.
But Call of Duty, they have the buy up thing, don't they? Where you can upgrade from the old.
You can upgrade from the PS3 to PS4, but you can't upgrade from Xbox to PS4.
No, I meant Xbox to Xbox One.
Yeah, you could do that. But...
Yeah, so it doesn't actually matter.
Well, no. What I'm saying, but it does matter.
No, but
there's a clear.
But what I'm saying is it doesn't
difference.
matter because it's not going to change anything. Because all the people who have a PS3 and an Xbox 360 are just going to buy it on that, regardless of what the next one is.
Yeah, I guess. I guess the people that are really into
they're just
COD
going to be pissed.
I guess
the Xbox people.
Yeah, I guess the people that are really into COD have probably already pre-ordered one and a copy of the game, and
I guess so. I don't think it's going to matter because, I'm I don't know, but I mean, it's hard to tell given that I'm not a big Call of Duty fan. But I have a feeling that this whole Titanfall business is going to be a big splash in that whole. I think it could be a killer.
Titanfall's so far away.
March.
Yeah.
Oh, but PC it'll be a lot longer away.
Well,
but
exactly.
March on Xbox One.
And they've announced it definitely won't be on PS4. At least the first title in the series.
Yeah.
So that is a big plus for the slower console.
It's like they're
so looking forward to that.
It's like they could probably put out a whole other Call of Duty game before then.
What, in 3 months?
Yeah, probably.
The Wii U version.
I didn't know the PC version was like massively delayed compared to the console. Why isn't it day and date?
Well, we
don't know.
Yeah,
the thing. They haven't said. No, they said it's not going to be out at the same time.
Oh, have they? Okay.
All we knew before was that it existed, which I determined from Origin.
Yeah, the reasons they've given for that is because they are relying heavily on the Xbox Live cloud services,
right,
to get this build up and running. Meaning they'll have to rethink how they do things for the PC version, unless they can strike a deal with Microsoft to let them use the cloud services on a PC version.
Right.
So
fair enough.
Yeah, there's some tinkering they will need to do before that possibility is realised.
It's interesting. I really think that Titanfall is going to be the killer app, and it's a bit bad because it's shaping up to be the inferior console, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of the first actual kind of blow I think that actually I sort of felt, if you know what I mean, because I've been siding on the Xbox side just because of like my previous thing, but the more I've been thinking about it, of like, actually Xbox hasn't done a lot for me for the last couple of years, probably, whereas PS3 has really kind of been taking over in terms of the games I want to play.
Definitely. And I think your review of the controller was very good for me. That's really heartening for me because that's quite important. And you were quite big on the PS4 controller, big improvement. You said so. Yeah, I think that would make a big difference for me.
I mean, at this point, it's beginning to sound like PS4 might actually be better as a games console, but Xbox One might actually be better at what Microsoft are pitching it as in the one thing that can do everything pretty well.
Sure. Fair enough,
but
if that's
PS4
what you want.
is just better at games. But
the trouble now is for November is that now the PS4 has a shitty launch lineup after everything got delayed.
All the delays and cancellations.
They both do, really. I mean, Forza's really the only big thing at all, right?
Crimson Dragon, bitch.
I haven't seen anything about that game. I'm sure it's probably awesome.
That's why it's going to be awesome. Fingers crossed.
Obviously.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to. I'll probably end up with COD on Xbox because Kippers is going to get it naturally, and it's,
Fair enough.
You know, and because you guys don't play it, it's like that's going to be my COD outlet. But I'm not sure. I don't know. It's an Infinity Ward year, and to me, those are the off years now. I kind of like what Treyarch have been doing. So it's.
And after and Infinity Ward is diminished after half of them went to do Respawn or whatever. Well, no, not half, but like a lot of the key talent are making Titanfall now. So
yeah, I don't know. The reviews for that must be out pretty soon, if not already. But I mean, it's not long till it comes out. So
no,
like,
Battlefield reviews are out.
Yeah, the first because they're releasing. I think Ghosts comes out on 360 before the ones launch, so like the next week or so. Yeah. So we'll be seeing that soon. I'm interested, but just because Black Ops 2 was so good. But
I think Ghost looks retarded when there's bloody dogs and moving fish.
Did you see the Battlefield 4 Let's Punch a Dog thing?
Yeah. No.
How dumb was that?
What's the deal?
Well, Battlefield, it's EA's desperation to try and one-up COD all the time with their marketing. It's just like, hey, like, Ghosts has dogs, so what are we going to do in the Battlefield 4 trailer? Let's punch a dog.
Yeah, but that's not... That could have just been in there anyway.
I know, but it just that's how everyone's taking it. In like, how can we like show COD that their dog is dumb?
And like, regardless of that, there had already been plenty of dog punching and murdering in Call of Duty before this game.
Yeah, true.
It's dumb because like Battlefield, apart from the like weak attempt at a story, single player in Battlefield, no matter how good it looks, it's a bit. Like it's dumb
crap.
To say the least. It was crap.
I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't a patch on an experience you could have on a focused single player game, which is a shame.
But if you consider the core appeal and game of Battlefield and COD to be multiplayer, which it certainly is for Battlefield, and I guess COD is mostly multiplayer.
Oh, I don't know. The Blop series, I think, has been good for single player. I'm not convinced about modern. I'm not convinced about the last two iterations of Modern Warfare, but.
Absolutely. I'd much rather play Blops single player than Battlefield. But like, the EA is trying to make them like go head to head, and like Battlefield and COD are like totally different. Games. They're not even. I think TF2 is closer to COD than Battlefield is to COD.
That's probably true.
And like. It's a bit weird that they're like desperate to do because they tried to copy COD with Medal of Honor and they totally failed, right? EA. Yeah. So just give it up.
Which is the thing because you can play Battlefield in like team deathmatch modes and stuff, and it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty good way to play. Actually, it's quite fun.
It's kind of more like Counter-Strike, isn't it? Don't you think? Than COD? I don't know. I guess they're all quite similar.
I suppose a little bit in terms of feel, yeah. But not in terms of the game types. But I think that's people go to Battlefield because it isn't just a straight arcade shooter. Battlefield is more than the kill-death ratio.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much all COD is, really. It's like you want to do well yourself, whereas Battlefield, I don't know, you feel that little bit more
team. I guess that's true.
You feel better about winning the round than you do about having a shit round yourself, I guess.
Right, yeah. I prefer that. I always preferred that team stuff to
yeah, except you didn't really like Battlefield.
Well, Battlefield, it was just hard to tell what the fuck was going on in 3.
Yeah,
like,
it was real.
In 2, I at least had a clue what was going on, and like in 1942, I knew exactly.
Well, like Battlefield 3 was different.
I was always terrible at 2. But I just
2 was tricky in like the weapons more than the game.
I just want them to make another 2142.
Yeah, obviously.
But I suppose that's Titanfall at the moment.
Oh, exactly.
2143. That was a hell of a game. I think that's one of the best sets of balance that Battlefield's ever had. I just preferred kind of...
Maybe. I mean, are you guys want to play Battlefield 4 multiplayer? I mean, what's wrong with 3?
I don't know. We haven't really talked about it, have we? So like, there's
I kept thinking like, well, even before the actual like videos and stuff started coming out of Battlefield 4, actually even before the beta, I was like, I haven't played Battlefield 3 for a while. I should really do that before 4 comes out. And then everyone leaves, but then I never did.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm screwed now. I haven't actually been back to look to see how many servers are left.
I don't know I don't know really how enthused I am for it. Really, it's like Battlefield 3, I think, was kind of new and exciting at the time because, like, you were just like, "Holy shit, look at that!"
It's amazing looking.
It's a beautiful thing.
I think the problem with Battlefield 3 was just that they didn't do as good a job as they should have done with the vehicle stuff. Really,
No,
it's like I spent almost all my time as infantry because as soon as I got in the vehicle, all the enemy vehicles were killing me and all the infantry were killing me.
Yeah, I found being in a vehicle is just a generally bad experience in 3 because I don't know, I couldn't very rarely make it work.
Apart from right at the start, I mean, I think it's probably a lot to do with unlocks as well. Obviously.
Yeah, the unlock tree for vehicles was kind of shitty.
A pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And then there'd be people who had, like, found the precise way to use the unlocks, like, when they basically appear to be invulnerable. Because they'd always have the perfect timing to get, like, deflection or whatever.
Yeah. The only real fun I have in vehicles, I think, in Battlefield 3, like, you know, genuine fun, is when I'm flying the jets and I'm not really contributing.
Yeah, you're not actually helping the team.
No, but I think that's great fun.
That's the trouble. I don't know. I just remember being back in 1942. I could fly the planes and contribute and have fun.
Yeah, I find flying the choppers pretty tricky. Still.
I don't know if that's actually true about 1942. I think at the time we were playing 1942, maybe we weren't caring so much about contributing to the actual overall goal of the game.
No. Maybe.
1942 was just a fucking laugh.
Plus, a lot of the time we were playing on servers with like 60% bots.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I guess that's true. Imagine
you could kind of get away with murder in that scenario, really. I don't mean
literally as well.
They won't do it now, probably. Oh, I don't know. Maybe one day. But for monetary reasons, I guess they don't want to do it right now. But, I mean, they could do a World War II battlefield again with this insane engine. It would be ridiculous looking.
We haven't had the supposed World War II, like, renaissance yet.
No.
Yeah,
do you reckon that's what the new console cycle will start with? They'll go for a robot phase, and then towards the end of it, they'll go, oh, actually, we want to go back to World War II. So it'll just be the same process we've just had in reverse.
I think it's even harder to go from robots back to World War II. If you've peaked at robots, I don't think you can go that far back any longer.
Prediction, by the end of the console cycle, Wolfenstein will be the shit.
I think that's dumb saying that, because like not the thing Zach was saying, because it's like you started with robots in like 1980 or something with video games.
Well, I suppose all video games started sci-fi, didn't they?
Yeah, but not like it. I think World War II is becoming increasingly irrelevant to games because.
I don't see why. It's really...
because in modern warfare and in robots, you can just make up whatever you want. Whereas in World War II, you're basing it on something that's actually got like history.
Right, yeah.
I think it's going to be real tricky for them to push the envelope on World War II now, if you know what I mean. It's like, what could they do? With sci-fi, you can do pretty much fucking anything you want to. With World War II, there are boundaries. There are strict boundaries. I mean, unless you go like super narrative, for instance, that could be interesting.
Or you just make
the thing is that
first-person shooter that's like Red Alert.
Just
alternate World War II.
Which is also cool. I'm up for that.
I just kind of think that scale-wise, like with the modern graphics and technology for doing more scale, I think it suits World War II because actually, like modern wars are just smaller scale. You just don't have like thousands of ships or whatever in one battle, which you actually did have in World War II. Like,
I don't think large scale is actually good for gameplay.
No, not always.
It looks cool, but it's just like what are you doing? And,
that's true. That's true.
The problem with large scale is, and this goes right back to the early Call of Duty games. You know, when you're trying to do D-Day and something like that, you'll just get shot from something you can't see, and that's Call of Duty has kind of got past that a little now.
Yeah.
In its design, like, you know, there's something about the chaos where it's hard to know what your place is in it sometimes.
Yeah.
And if it's like...
That's why I think you need to perhaps focus on these little stories maybe within World War II, like do a Saving Private Ryan or something. You know,
Gearbox tried to do that.
Have a focused narrative.
They tried to do that with, what was it called? The Gearbox one that was kind of like...
Road to Hill something?
30. Yeah, what was... Brothers in Arms? Brothers in Arms, that was it.
Oh, yeah. Because there is a Brother in Arms still in development, isn't there?
Is that? Okay, maybe.
I think so. That might have got cancelled a while back.
They cancelled that dumb cartoon one.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Whatever that was called. Was that Brothers in Arms? I think that was.
Yeah, it might have been, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. I think we've got to the point narratively in games where, you know, because storytelling has come a long way since really last one really did it. I think you could do some really interesting stuff and be respected for it. You know, given
think so,
in the
definitely.
wake of something like Spec Ops or something, which wasn't a great game but told an interesting narrative. I think that's how you could make waves on that stuff.
Exactly, because if you think about it, like there was a wave in movies and TV of World War II, which was Saving Private Ryan and Band of Brothers, and that was like really worthy and like you know, it was all about the human cost and everything. But then there were games around the same time that were World War II that were kind of riding the same wave, because obviously Medal of Honor Allied Assault had the beach storming that was basically taken straight from Saving Private Ryan. But the games themselves weren't grown up like the films. They were just dumb shooters, really.
Yeah.
So now
we are kind of slowly, finally entering a moment perhaps where gaming narratives are maturing, and you know, it's possible for a writer to actually get a mature script through rather than people thinking, like executives and stuff, just thinking, oh yeah, people just want to shoot shit. We don't care about being deep and meaningful. No, actually, now there's a kind of an audience growing for that, and it's long overdue, if you ask me.
Yeah, so who knows? I hope someone's brave enough to do a bit of World War II before long. Anyway, there are loads of other cool settings. I mean, I really enjoyed Red Dead. That was a cool. You don't see nearly enough for. It seems like obvious. And also, segueing here.
Don't segue yet.
Yeah,
okay.
I just thought of one more thing that they
Segue on
should
hold.
obviously do. Is like, why has no one else tried Vietnam again yet? Because
Yeah,
now with
Vietnam.
more better foliage tech, that could
you had
actually
blobs,
work
didn't you?
for a change.
Yeah, a little bit of COD blobs did it, but
Yeah.
not like massively. But yeah, absolutely, a whole Vietnam game. I mean, it might be really depressing, but
But that's the point. We were just talking about we want mature stories.
It's true.
I'm just trying to think, like, apart from blobs, I don't know of any really that have done Vietnam well, ever.
No,
I mean, blobs
It's
doesn't
not been
count
done.
because it just uses it lightly, really. I mean, stuff happens in Vietnam, but it's in service
It's like
to a larger
your
plot,
own little
but-
mini squad running around, and it just happens to be in Vietnam.
Yeah, and also
At the time.
suffers from some of the worst bits of those games.
Yep.
But
yeah, and like
and you know, Battlefield Vietnam, I don't think
Was
any
bad.
of us liked. No,
it was
Had some
bad.
good ideas in theory.
Yeah, it did
Rise
have
of
some
the
good
Valkyries
ideas.
flying past you,
Yep.
Yeah,
Doppler Valkyries.
it
Dumb
did have.
tunneling.
They did okay with the atmosphere in Battlefield Vietnam, in like the menus and stuff like that, and like
Yeah,
I don't
the
know,
tone was
the
good.
soundtrack, but it just was a bit crap as an actual game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying Cowboys seemed like an obvious, and of course pirates. And there's a pirate game out, and for some reason it's also an Assassin's Creed game because they have to make money. That's the one thing about this. I've seen reviews coming out of Black Flag, and I was thinking, oh, that series is dead now. They've done 3, and it was a bit of a disappointment, and now it's like, well, the main story's probably done. So, but we have to keep making Assassin's
It's
Creed
not.
games every year or whatever.
It's got ridiculous.
Yeah,
now, but-
exactly. And so and I thought, well, I can't be bothered with another one. But of course, the reviews are coming out and saying it's really fun and great, and it's pirates, and it's like, that's cool. But I mean, couldn't you have made a pirates game with the Assassin's Creed engine and not have it be an Assassin's Creed
Yeah,
game?
could you have been a bit more innovative on your mechanics and stuff like that? I mean,
Yeah.
I've been reading the same thing where a lot of people are kind of like, yeah, okay, the setting's great. What you actually do in the core game is pretty great. Like, you know, they've mixed stuff up enough to include piracy in such ways that make the Assassin's Creed formula interesting again, but not. It's still an Assassin's Creed game ultimately.
Yeah.
And the side stuff apparently is mostly terrible.
Right, okay. But at least that
So
has an
it's
intriguing
Assassin's
premise,
Creed.
that stuff.
Yeah.
That crazy meta weirdness of the real world. Which sounds hilarious.
Yeah, I was always kind of intrigued by that. I still think Assassin's Creed 2 probably does that stuff the best.
Yeah, 2 did it the
with
best.
The puzzles and things.
And Brotherhood was okay. I mean, I enjoyed that as a game, you know, mechanically and stuff, but it probably didn't have as strong a story as 2, because it was kind of a offshooty sequely thing, wasn't it, really?
Yeah. Brotherhood was fine.
Yeah, Brotherhood was cool.
Revelations, I can't really say was fine.
No.
Too much of a cash-in.
Yeah. But I don't know. I might play Black Flag. I mean, it does look quite fun. I mean, I like the. I mean, it seems like the character doesn't give a shit. Basically, like he doesn't actually care about assassins or anything. He's not like automatically. Oh, I have this destiny where I am part of the Assassin Order. I must stop the Templars from taking over the world. It's more like, fuck you, I'm a pirate.
Yeah, I just happen to have been born with these skills.
Well,
You can tell the plot's going to have one of those halfway moments where suddenly he realizes that shit's important now.
Exactly,
And
but that sounds okay.
Development, I suppose.
And like the actual sea stuff looks pretty cool. I mean, it's a bit disappointingly shallow in that the wind doesn't matter at all. But I guess it's fair enough. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be a bit too complex.
Yeah,
or a little bit less too unfriendly, I guess, to most players.
I mean, it seems to me that it's basically like because it's open world, right? Which is kind of a first. I mean, it's sort of open world. Well, I guess
always have been.
Well, I guess it depends how you. But can you just like sail from Havana to one of the other big cities and then start jumping over the rooftops?
Yeah,
without,
I don't know. I don't know if there would be like you get on the docks or something, and in the process of walking through some arbitrary gate on the docks causes
it to transition to the overworld or something. I guess that's how Assassin's 3 worked, right? It had an overworld.
Yeah, they tried that, didn't they, in Brotherhood and Revelations, didn't they, by focusing on a single city?
Yeah, that's kind of
like Rome and Constantinople, but
yeah. Anyway, but you've got quite big stretches of sea, I think. Well, relatively, but it's basically
none of us have played 3 either, so they might have done it there as well.
Well, they had the wilderness, didn't they, as it were? So I'm sure that had a loading pause, but yeah. But it's basically like a third-person, like modern Sid Meier's Pirates, right?
Maybe.
Kind of. I don't know.
You're still stabbing dudes in the back.
Oh yeah. I mean, mashed into it. Yeah.
Apparently, the combat is more fun this time.
Well, it's just simpler, isn't it? Like, there's not much to it, really.
No, but it doesn't. You don't. The impression I heard was that you don't care so much if you fuck up the stealth.
Right, because you can just charge in, and
it's not so much of a big deal.
Okay, because I quite like stealth.
Which would be good for me.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds quite fun. I might pick up the PC version in a sale, like middle of next year or something.
Are you tempted to play up to it, or are you just skipping 3?
Oh no, I'm skipping.
Unless it comes in a big old sale pack.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, even then, I don't know if I could be bothered to like invest in 3. It's probably all right. I don't know. I just felt like it got a bit.
Okay.
I thought it got a bit staid. I don't know, and kind of a bit like too wrapped up in its own. I don't know. Like
maybe,
narrative.
but you've been out for a while.
That's
so
true.
Maybe going back to it will be nice for you.
Oh yeah, I think it would be for Black Flag. I just don't know about 3 and then Black Flag. But,
just I'd like to always stay a couple of editions behind.
Yeah, pick and choose.
Playing one a year is just about doable. Like given my experience over the last few years for a while, don't know how long it's taken me to crank through the last 3, but. Probably 2 years. I think I've done 3 in 2 years, and that's enough because I don't really feel the urge to play another one.
No,
just yet. And to a small degree, it puts me off wanting to play Watch Dogs a little because I know that will kind of be the same.
Well,
with a few guns.
Well, who knows? That could be different enough. Shame we don't get to find out. I mean, but it almost quite good that it's not coming out at the same time as another Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I think that may be wise on Ubisoft's part. I mean, I know that potentially damages the PS4's launch lineup, but I think it's wise for Ubisoft.
Yeah,
but the Ubisoft are really supporting PS4, so extra content and all that crap.
We don't want to rush out like your first installment in a series that could like become real. If the first game is successful, then that becomes a lucrative like franchise almost, and you can then start cranking, which is a bit depressing, but that's how it works. Whereas if it's rushed out and people don't like the first entry, it's not going to get better probably. It becomes risky to invest in the subsequent games if the first one didn't, succeed.
Speaking about new IP. Segue.
Segue.
Epic Games have announced that Fortnite is still being developed.
All right.
And that People Can Fly are working on it.
Oh,
and also that People Can Fly are no longer called People Can Fly; they're called Epic Games Poland, which is much less cool.
That's much less cool.
But I just wanted to be called not Epic Games Poland. It'd be better if it was just Epic Poland.
That'd be awesome.
I think that's probably why they didn't do that. They probably do.
That's awesome, though.
Epic Poland.
Epic Games is kind of built on, like, the concept of awesome is best. It just seems dumb.
So,
or not in keeping with their normal behaviour.
Do you think that's what they were actually thinking of when they came up with that name?
Or Epic Games.
The Epic Mega Games. Where they're like, yeah, these games are so epic and mega.
I don't know, actually, probably at that point, Blazinski was probably just thinking, fuck it, it's a name.
Yep, words.
Oh man, Jazz Jackrabbit. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
It's a game.
an epic and mega game.
An epic mega game.
The only reason I bring that up is because I'm kind of intrigued to see what People Can Fly can do next. Because I really liked Bulletstorm,
Yeah.
which was all theirs, and I want to see like how they. And I think they kind of worked on Gears of War Judgment, which just passed everyone by. It seems.
Well, because it was apparently painfully average.
Yeah. And I think they were involved in that somewhat. So it'd be nice to see them on a new IP, see what they come up with.
Indeed. Right,
Maybe one day we'll get a Bulletstorm 2.
I doubt it.
yeah.
Other
Well,
news.
they need to
How
like.
many is there
Oh,
more?
we got more.
Very slightly. I'm running out of stuff that I can remember. I'm sure there was tons I kind of wanted to talk about, but the annoyance of the week was that Farsight said that Pinball Arcade was going to be launched on Steam November 1st. The day came and went.
Oh,
There's like just no sign of it at all. It's like the green light page hasn't changed. It wasn't listed in the Steam coming soon list.
It was actually approved in Greenlight, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't in
It's,
the
it's,
queue or...
no. It's been approved for ages.
Right.
It's been approved since August or July, something like that. And they've been trying to put it together. Apparently, the official line is that they had some problem with Steam's currency management, as in multiple country currencies, and they're having to deal with it. In like their words were, "It turns out we have to do the math." So, which seems kind of crazy because I thought Steam would be handling all of that for themselves, but unless they've got some kind of in-app store themselves rather than using Steam to buy extra tables, which seems like a dumb idea.
Well, it's probably because they already have an in-app store in another version of the game, so having to build it out into the external Steam DLC system would probably actually be a lot of
That
work.
just means taking stuff out, surely, as opposed to
Yeah, but
modifying your existing system, which sounds more work to me.
No, but then you've got to like make the DLC install into the game and then have the game. It's like you're adding like an external install process.
I think it'll be fine. I think they're just going about it in a weird direction. Anyway, that's where that sits. So more delays. Although at this point, I think the PS4 version actually looks like it might be the one to get because it looks better.
yep.
Which is going to be on launch, apparently.
Cool. Well,
Yeah, that's pretty much me. Actually, I'll just.
of course, the next generation console with the best games this Christmas is, of course, the Wii U.
Yeah,
With the awesome new Mario game.
and the Year of Luigi 2DS.
Right, shall we get on to what you've been playing? Zach, maybe? What you got this week?
Stuff.
Let's hear it.
Yep.
Let's get stuffed.
Yeah, let's get stuffed. Well, first thing to bring this back again for the second week is that I played some more SimCity because there was another patch.
What?
There was another patch.
Oh,
I wasn't
gosh.
going to, but I
Are
was
they
like,
on version like 21 or something? 8. Okay.
Version 8.
8.0.
Yeah, 8.0, even though they've never done any point releases since they changed to the to the large numbers. But yeah, so I went on that. I casually I can't remember, I just like checked back in and see what's going on with SimCity, see if there was another patch, and there was. And there was really virtually nothing in this patch. It must have been just like back-end stuff mostly. But then like the one thing that they sort of pointed out as a patch note was they made it so that the Great Works update properly on the server. And I was like, well, holy shit, that was the thing that actually went wrong last time. They patched the one thing that stopped me from playing. So I loaded back in those cities and it was like, oh look, it's working now, great.
Isn't that kind of what sort of happens to you every time they make a patch, though, isn't it? It's just like, oh, they've patched that thing that was really annoying. Let's see if this helps. Oh, no, there's this other thing that's now a bigger problem.
Well, yeah, but in this case, it was like, so I went back in, loaded up that city where the Great Work had got stuck, sat there for a while, and then eventually it realised, it's like, oh, look, it's working, I can actually do this. And then, of course, once I solved that problem, I was just like, but I don't want to do that. So when they made a new map with some new cities, because I wanted to see, I was kind of more interested on seeing if I could actually make a set of cities that actually use like regional education, because I know that they fixed that education bug when the students would disappear, or at least mostly last time I checked.
Right.
So I was like, I want to see if I can actually, because I've never had a city with like high-tech industrial, because I've never got to the point of having a university and actually having it operate in a way that lets me upgrade the industrial zones. So I was like, well, I want to do that. And the chair's going to break. So I decided to go make another set of cities to do this thing, to see if I could get a university up and running. But that whole thing is a big problem in itself, because it theoretically works okay, apart from, like, the university isn't very good at pulling students from other cities. It's like when you use the high school to pull students from other cities, you put bus stops in the city that doesn't have the high school, and those buses just go there and pick up students.
Okay.
Whereas in the university's case, the students just drive there in cars, because I know they're university students, so they can drive. But that doesn't seem to work very well in the region, not as well as the school buses. It doesn't seem to send out the message that says, "Hey, there's space."
Right.
So they moved the problem onto higher education.
Well, it's not really the same problem. It's like a different thing.
Okay.
And I guess it could have always been like this, because I never had a university before.
Yeah, you couldn't
really
get that far. Yeah. Okay.
But then, so then I was fiddling around with. So I'd set up this city to get a university, and I got a university, which is not that difficult to do, really. But then once you get a university, there's like, it's one of the things which is like not very well described. It's another one of the things that is not very well exposed in like the statistics screens or whatever, of like how the university actually causes industrial buildings to upgrade. Where it's like, when the students go into the university and get educated, it doesn't actually matter where the people go or like what buildings in your city are educated. There's just like a field that kind of projects out of the university along the roads, and then when depending on how many students are in the university, that fills up like the industrial buildings with technology, basically. And then once they've got sufficient technology in them, then they can upgrade to the higher tech industrial buildings.
So you can see how much technology, can you, that they have, as it were?
It's like a bar. But the thing is, I don't know when they patched this, but it used to be that you could actually see, like, a pink line that would come out of the university and actually travel along the roads. So you could, like, see it spreading along the network, because obviously it was all based on the same fucking agent network. But now they remove that pink line, so it's just like some random industrial buildings start getting the bar going up, but you have no indication of where that's actually coming from or why it's this building in particular.
Do you think they're not using the agent?
No, I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay.
So you think these technology agents are getting stuck in an invisible way?
I don't think it's that. I just think it's not very clear on how that actually works, because what I eventually figured out is that the number of students visiting the university is like an actual resource that literally produces that amount of technology, and then it flows out along the roads, which is why like some of my industrial buildings never got any, because they were like, it wasn't getting there wasn't enough of it. So even though everyone in my city was going to the university and was university educated, some of these industrial buildings were never going to upgrade to the high tech, just because the technology wasn't getting there from the university. You just need more students, which is a really dumb system, really.
That's kind of weird, yeah.
And wasn't very well explained. And then when I realised that, I realised why there's a university expansion you can build that's just a dormitory, which just creates like 500 students from nowhere.
Right.
So that's just like a way of producing more technology, rather than... It's like you think, why do I just want more students? I want the capacity for my students, not these random dormitory students. But it's like, if you've got the extra capacity to have the dormitory students, that adds to the technology field. Because you just get 500 more students, so you get proportionally more technology coming out of it.
Weird.
So did you build that then? Did it help?
Yeah, I did, and it did help a bit, but I still couldn't get nearly enough. And the other trouble, of course, with like high-tech industrial buildings is, at that point, you have to have like high-wealth residential, because it has proportionally more high wealth jobs or whatever.
Yeah, but so not is the other alternative to like have another university and just increase your population?
Yeah, if you just have more people going to the university, then you'll get more students. Yeah. And so the other trouble with the education system is it's like education is incredibly generic. It's like it doesn't matter what type of school the students go to, just as long as they go to one. So there's no point in having more than one type of school in a city. It's like if you've got a university, you don't need any of the other types of school. And if you've got a high school, you don't need any of the other types of school if you're only going for high school education.
Because there's no concept of specialised education.
Well, because there's no concept of age. All students can go to all education, and they just go to whichever one's nearest or available.
So you can...
Oh, so you don't need schools?
No, you don't need any other type of education, providing you've got the capacity in whichever one you've built.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So you don't need primary, and then high school, and then...
No.
But surely university gives you... I don't know. Is there any concept of, like, qualified people?
Well, I mean, that is what the education... That's what the technology field represents. Because educate... It's weird. When you look at a building and it says, like, educated on it, or, like, on a house, that tells you that they've been educated somewhere, and that doesn't matter where. That level of education is just, like... It means that they use less power and water, and they get ill less, and they set shit on fire less often.
Okay, so you can send people to primary school, and then they'll become quote unquote educated. Yeah. Okay, but then is that all you need? No. Yeah,
that's all you need to get that. But then in order to get like medium technology industrial, you need the community college because that can only upgrade to medium, and in high tech you need the university because that can only upgrade to high tech. And that was the other thing that confused me, because I thought if I build like the community college first, I can upgrade to medium and then have the university upgrade it to high. But it doesn't stack at all. It's just like if the university is there, it will always go to high tech directly from low tech.
Huh.
It doesn't bother going through medium tech.
So basically, like you only. I'm just trying to work this out in my head, actually, because it just seems kind of crazy.
Yep, naturally, as so many things.
So could you just skip to a university then, and then everyone in your city be educated, like university educated?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you probably still want a regular school of some kind as a stopgap, because otherwise they get uneducated and then everything sets on fire. or whatever they do.
Yeah, it's like you kind of wish they should have they should have a system where your university can only take as many people as you have that have been educated at the layer below.
Well, yeah, but then you'd have
by that logic, shouldn't you? Because like if you had 2,000 people going to primary school, for instance, then in theory you can have up to 2,000 people going to the next to the higher schools.
They didn't make it that complicated.
But that's just logical, isn't it?
Yep, it is. But
there's no like concept. In 4?
Well, in 4, I don't even remember what the.
I don't think the university did well unless you had primary schools covering.
Yeah, in 4 it actually had like if you went and looked at the graphs, it had like education by age.
Yeah.
So if you educated people through each step, you had a better overall education.
Yeah.
And overall education was all that matters. There wasn't any.
Well, it's because it's all probabilistic, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever.
Probabilistic.
So yeah, that was weird and stupid, and it's still ridiculous.
So once you've built enough university capacity, then you can just bulldoze all the other schools?
Or just shut them down. Although I still kept... Once I worked out that the university wasn't doing very good at calling in students from the other cities, I kept the high school in that city, but demolished all the bus stops. So everyone in that city was like, I can't get to the high school, I guess I'll go to the university instead. Whereas and then the high school buses just drove to the other city that I had bus stops in.
Okay. Oh god.
Well, that was actually important though, because I guess the actually important thing about having the lower tech schools is in order to unlock the university, you have to be have 1,200 students a day.
You do have to work to it, but you can't just plonk one down.
But it's not. You're just going to get that through your population growth anyway. It's not actually a thing you have to aim for. It's just going to happen eventually.
Okay, well, that's not so bad. I guess they were hoping no one would notice.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, if you did keep the other types of school in your city, that would actually fuck your university up, because they those schools would absorb the students that
Sure.
should be going to the university.
So you wouldn't end up with a totally university.
Yeah, you wouldn't
educated.
get as much technology out of the university or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
Freaking weird.
it's so stupid.
It's a pretty dumb system.
How? Not that I'm trying to insult your intellect here, Zach. but
Yeah.
How come you find all this stuff, and they didn't? I say this every time we talk about.
But it's not like
SimCity.
this one is a bug. This is just how it works.
But it's just stupid.
It's just how it works. That's how they made it.
Ugh.
They made it crap. They made some decision early on where they were like, "Oh, we'll use the agent system for everything," and then they realized that that would work if you had a supercomputer, but on a normal computer, you're gonna have to cut down the simulation. So it's so stupid.
On a normal computer, it circumvents the logic of how shit actually works.
Actually
But it's like it's like all of this stuff is probably at the point where they made whatever decision it was, where they decided that they couldn't track individual people permanently.
Yeah,
Because as soon as you get rid of that's why every student can go to every school, because it doesn't keep track of like their age or anything. It's just a generic student that comes out of the house.
which is just god. What's the point? You
Which
might
is
as
where
well...
the probabilistic model makes more sense, because you can sort of average that shit out.
Yeah.
That's much better.
I mean, surely perhaps the thing here is some sort of hybrid, like, regional probabilistic models where the probability stuff is all done within certain areas, but then you kind of use the agents to figure out how those regions interact, but not in a literal "this person goes here" sort of way.
Well, I mean,
perhaps you could use the agent system to kind of make the probabilities.
Well, I mean, they could still do like the different grades of school using the agent system. It would just be like, instead of each house having 2 students, it would have 1 primary student and 1 secondary student. And those would go to individual buildings.
I guess, but then I don't know. Yeah, you're right. The age thing seems too crucial, really, to making that system work in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to track people like that, you kind of need to know what each house has in terms of a family.
Well, even if it's just generic. Even if because I mean, it's like every house has 2 workers and 2 students and 2 shoppers.
Which I'm not sure I like, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. If your town is not suited for families, for instance, why couldn't you just have an entire town of professional adults? Or
Wow. I guess that's like... Wow. Yeah. And those aren't... I guess maybe cities aren't really that kind of city, are they?
No.
Because they always have suburbs, regardless of what you're doing.
I guess. I mean, I suppose, by that logic, that it's just an assumed average playing to the probabilistic model almost,
But not sufficiently.
No.
So yeah, that was SimCity again. There probably won't be another patch for a good long while, so...
Why do you keep doing this to us?
Because I like to talk about systems.
It's painful.
I like to talk about
like
systems and why they're dumb.
A bit of me dies every time you talk about this, because it's just...
But here we go. If you want to talk about games that have ridiculous systems that I can talk in length about, let's talk about the other game.
Okay.
Yeah, I fucking played a goddamn ton of Pokemon. Because even after I played fucking Mystery Dungeon when I got the DS, and I was they're not going to give me a game.
Normal Pokemon games are crap compared to this awesome Mystery Dungeon business, which is so much better.
Yeah, I was like, they're not going to get me again, and then they did.
Of course they did.
But this time it's actually legitimately, it's like fully 3D rendered goddamn Pokemon at fucking last.
Yeah, to be honest, that does make an
last.
enormous difference.
Jesus, this game should have been out for like GameCube 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, it does look real nice, and some of the custom animations for some of the Pokemon...
Well, that's the thing. That what I've come to realise is those aren't custom animations.
Are they not?
It's like each Pokemon basically has a physical attack animation and a special attack animation.
Right.
And that one that we thought might have been custom was just the generic special attack animation.
Oh, because it looked really cool and really appropriate.
But it is a really cool animation.
Yeah.
But it's just that's the same animation it does for every special attack.
I see. Not so cool.
Yeah.
I suppose, given the... What? How many Pokemon are there now?
Way more than I can remember, like 700 and something.
Shit.
Are they all in the game? No.
Well, I assume they're all modelled, because you can get them all into the game, in theory.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
because you can still
still
pass up.
You
from
can still
old
use
versions.
the internet trading
Yeah.
to get whatever the fuck you want. Also, that's another thing that I think is actually new in this one. They've made it so if you go on the internet trade, you can just type in the name of a Pokemon you want to get. You don't have to have had seen it,
Oh, really?
which is actually nice.
Huh.
You can just say, I know what this thing is called, give me it.
I want this motherfucking
And
legend.
then look at all the ridiculous non-deals that people have put up for it and everything. It's like, give me a level 50 Mewtwo, you fucker.
It's a bargain.
So yeah, there's it's nice. It looks fairly good. Although I said it's like obviously this should have happened ages ago with the 3Dness, but it still runs pretty badly on the 3DS. It's like quite frame rate laggy at times.
Oh no.
So it's just in the world, you mean?
No, like the battle scenes.
Oh, really?
Especially if it's like the 2-on-2 or the 3-on-3 battles.
Well, it's because that's the only place where the 3D is allowed as well, isn't
Well, I
it?
haven't had the 3D on.
Oh, and it still sucks.
Yeah, it still,
Okay.
still runs badly.
I wonder if it runs worse with the 3D on.
It's probably real bad. So yeah, that was like, apparently this game couldn't exist before now, because even with the ridiculous amount of power they've got in the 3DS, they still can't handle it.
That seems... No, I'm not sure I believe that. Is there something about the way they're rendering or something? Because, Fire Emblem look fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do have, it is a ridiculously, like, it's quite a nice, weird, I don't know, cell shading style they've made.
Yeah, it's sort of like the cartoon aesthetic, isn't it?
I don't know how much, power that must use to do that kind of smooth cell shading look of it.
Mm.
But it looks pretty good. Apart of if there's one thing in the graphics that I still think is weirdly dumb and like why have they not ever done this in any of the Pokemon games ever, it's like they still haven't made the proper Pokeball animation, like the red laser that like.
Oh, maybe they thought that was dumb. Maybe that's like just a cartoon going off on
It's
its
a
own.
cartoon, and it's always been like that in the cartoon.
Yeah, but they have a
You want
whole
it to
thing where the
open.
cartoon isn't like game canon, is it? Like there's a lot of
Pretty
stuff
much
in the
is.
But like, there's never been Ash in a single like Pokemon game, right? Is that even Yellow?
Well,
Didn't technically
Well,
have
in
Ash,
Red and
did it?
Blue, that basically was Ash. He was just called Red
Or blue.
or Blue.
Yeah,
'Cause it was Gary. The other dude was Professor Oak's son.
Gary.
Yeah.
yeah, Gary was in it, I guess. Yeah, okay.
So
but
that
I'm
was-
just
that-
saying, there's been stuff in the anime that is like non-game canon, like quite
I
a
don't
bit.
know if that's true. I think it's pretty much follows the exact. It's like after they went through the Red and Blue world in the anime,
Yeah,
then
Kanto
they moved
or
on to the they moved on to the Gold and Silver world,
Yeah.
and
that's
now
true.
they're up to the like X and Y world. Apart
Yeah.
from it's not a new protagonist; it's still fucking Ash Ketchum doing his thing.
Is
Or
it still Ash?
Actually, I don't know.
I don't know, actually.
I think they have changed protagonists a while, like once or twice, but they still like overlap a lot more.
Is that-
Especially once you got beyond like when it was no longer the Red and Blue story. It's like I guess that doesn't actually matter. We can have whoever the fuck we want do it.
So they just have someone else who also has a Pikachu then, or...
Yeah, I don't know about the Pikachu.
guess-
I haven't seen fucking Pokemon the anime since fucking Red and Blue, so
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. We're just making shit up.
It was done then, so...
But yeah, that Pokemon animation. Why have they never done that?
I don't know.
It would look a lot better than what they do,
Well,
where it's
what's
just like particle effects.
It's just a big white bloom, isn't it?
Well, and it changes depending on what type of Pokeball,
Okay.
which I guess they couldn't do if they were just using the red laser thing.
Aye. Well, yeah, because that's the cartoon never went into the
Types of
Pokeballs.
Pokeball.
No.
Well, maybe they did. We still, we don't know. We haven't seen it.
Almost certainly did. Anything they could get their hands on, pretty much, I would have thought.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is in this game. You go to a Pokeball factory.
Awesome.
Oh,
It's like holy shit. They've actually, apart from you don't.
What kind of fucked up technology are they using?
You don't see anything. It's just like it's a room full of conveyor belts, and then you have to ride the conveyor belts, of course. And then you don't find out anything about Pokeballs.
But what is that red shit?
How does a Pokeball work? So yeah, and then so the game part of this game, rather than the graphics, I guess, is well, it's like when I said that they weren't going to get me again about Pokemon, and it's like it's just the same fucking game every time.
yeah, it is, right?
So in this new one, it's like the graphics are nice,
Yeah.
but really it's the same fucking game again.
Well, of course it is.
Or the-
What were you
or the same-
expecting?
Well, the trouble is, it's like the story. They've basically mashed two stories together, and I don't know why they bothered to do that. Because it's like There's the incredibly generic, it's been in every goddamn Pokemon game ever story where it's just like you're a kid who gets given a Pokemon by a professor and he wants you to go around the world and complete your Pokedex and you get the gym badges and you beat the Elite Four and you become the champion of the world.
It's even weirder this time because he does it by mail. And
Yeah.
It's like I spam mailed
Well,
into being a Pokemon.
That is actually kind of better in a way because it's not the classic where it's like, you've just moved into the town right next to the professor's lab.
Who happens to be Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Hello, children. Fancy going on a quest.
So it's like there's still that incredibly generic story, but then like mashed on top of that, they've made the Team Rocket equivalent of this game, which is Team Flare. Because in the previous games, it was just like you just sort of like Red and Blue and stuff. You just come across Team Rocket and they're bad guys, obviously, because they're just doing bad things, and then you stop them, and that's pretty much it. They're just bad people.
But there was the other team who were like Pokemon rights and why you were building...
Yeah, the Black and White was when they started to get into like Pokemon. Apart from that was like a front in Black and White.
Right.
Whereas like
And it was
they were only
actually
trying to get a hold of the legendary
Spoiler alert.
Black and White, that's not even Black and White 2, so you know, that's a whole extra game ago.
Yeah. As much as you even necessarily care about the story of Pokemon.
No.
But spoiler alert.
So then this, well, spoiler alert for the new one, this new story that they've mashed into it is another sort of environmental message where it's like, there's too many people in the world, they're using up all the resources of the world, and initially Team Flare is just... Well, the trouble is that you meet Team Flare in the story quite early on, and they're obviously bad guys, like they always are when you meet the bad guys.
Yep.
And they're doing bad guy type things where they're like, we're breaking into this power plant and stealing the power for some mysterious purpose.
And laughing, starting with moi.
No, I think that's normally the G.
Guaha. Guaha. Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah. So you come across them and it's like you don't know what they're doing. They're just obviously generically evil. But then, like, as you progress through the game and you get up to like the 6th or 7th gym and you're still fighting Team Flare and they're still generically evil, it's like, oh no, they've broken into the Pokeball factory and they're stealing Pokeballs for some reason. Probably because Pokeballs sell for a ton of cash, that's probably a good reason to do that. But no, as it turns out, they're like going to activate a super weapon which is going to kill everyone because their leader is like an environmentalist who's like, there's too many people in the world, they're fucking it all up and consuming all the resources, destroy everything. And it like comes out of fucking nowhere, just suddenly. It's like, but because they've mashed it together with the regular story of going through the gyms. It's like you've got to the 7th gym and you've got your 7th gym badge, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go to the elite 8th gym, and then I'm going to go to the elite 4, and then I'm going to be the champion of the region. But then suddenly it's like, oh shit, we better save the entire world. Suddenly.
But yet, how... So you're doing that stuff after you've saved the world, or you're just going to be like, holy shit, we need to save the world, what do I need to do this? I need a fucking gym badge.
No, it's like you suddenly, after the 7th gym, it's just like, oh shit, we need to go and stop their evil plan and save the world. That we've just discovered what their evil plan is, suddenly. And then you do it, and it's like, well, I guess we're done with that, back to the gyms. It's just like, that's really weird and dumb. Have one story or the other. Don't try and mash them together in this completely random way where it just stops one story to go on another one for a moment. Apart from the other one is like the important one.
Well, I guess you don't see it coming.
Like, no, but that's bad.
But I don't know if it is, because you'll be like, ooh, like, you know, as a player, like, something different.
Well, I guess, apart from like, I don't know, it's like, it's not set up enough for me where it's just like maybe it's due to playing older Pokemon games, but it's just like they just seem like the generic bad guys that they've always been. And it's like, oh no, they actually have an actual evil plan this time.
They're badderer.
And also the like leader guy of Team Flare is incredibly obvious right from the start of the game. You meet him like immediately, and then he's like all mysterious and pretentious and has giant red hair. And then as soon as you see Team Flare, who all have
giant
red hair and red suits, so it's like, I wonder if that guy with the giant red hair might actually secretly be the evil bad guy. Oh, he is.
It's a kid's game, clearly. It's good.
So yeah, that's the story of Pokemon X and Y. It's the same again, apart from now you've saved the whole world.
What was the deal with Team Rocket way back in Blue and Red? Like
they were just like a mob gang, really. Weren't
yeah,
they?
I know. You ran into them all the time, but did you actually foil their plans towards the end?
Yeah, it was like they wanted to steal all the Pokemon, and then you break into their secret base and stop them somehow.
And stop them,
And then,
right?
and then their boss was like the 8th gym leader, coincidentally, because I don't know, he was a mobster, so he integrated himself into the gym system or whatever.
Right, and you beat him, and then you carry on to the final four.
Yeah, and
or
then you
whatever.
do the Elite Four or whatever.
Okay.
So it's essentially the same, apart from in Red and Blue, it's like not the whole world being enslaved.
Right. Okay.
You're just stopping a gang of thugs.
Slightly less jeopardy, right? Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
How would they? I don't even make even in the first game. Does Rocket's plan even make sense? How could you just steal all the Pokemon? That's like killing all the Jews. It's kind of
It's
a bit
not like
tricky.
Pokemon are actually difficult to steal when everyone just has like balls that have Pokemon in them. You just go yoink. Just take them off some guy's belt as he's walking past.
But there's a lot of Pokemon just out there.
I don't think they want all the wild Pokemon. I think
Yeah,
they
but then
just
people
want-
would just catch the wild ones, and then they have
and then they
taken
steal
them
those
again.
as well. It's like it passes them down.
But it's
to
a
them.
never-ending problem.
I don't think it was a problem. I don't think they were trying to solve the problem of Pokemon existing. I think they just wanted more Pokemon.
I don't think they've thought this through.
I don't think anyone has thought this through for a long time, ever, since the first game.
Team Rocket, traveling at the speed of light.
Yes. So,
Walking.
not at all the speed of light. So, yeah, but then the
Blasting
actual,
off and off, not walking.
the actual, like, things that are different about this game that make it actually more interesting to me, mechanically speaking, as I was talking about mechanics in SimCity.
Systems.
Yep, systems and mechanics.
Yeah.
Is now, I mean, the battles are the same as they've ever been. They've introduced this new type, the fairy type, that's a counter to dragon, which is just another
Because
type.
Dragon was a bit.
Was well supposedly a bit overpowered, but that's not really changed anything either. The battles are still the same, the powers, the moves are still the same, and the types are still the same, and all that stuff. But what they've done is now they've exposed what used to be a hidden system of effort values, as they're known, where when you fight wild Pokemon, every time you kill a wild Pokemon or faint a wild Pokemon, every time you defeat a wild Pokemon,
Knock out.
yeah, every time you defeat a wild Pokemon, it adds a hidden like modifier to your stats. And before, in the previous games, this existed, but it was a totally hidden thing. So only by extreme amounts of testing did the community work this out. Where it's like, if you only fight this one Pokemon, one type of Pokemon, it gives you effort values in strength, and then when you level up, you get a bonus to your strength stats. So then now they've basically surfaced that, and they've added a mini game you can do to directly level those up without fighting. So it's basically a way that you can train up like competition grade Pokemon much easier. Because now you can just literally see what areas they're trained in, and you can manipulate it yourself and like reset those stats if you need to, and basically set everything up. So that makes it actually like
So it's easier for the min maxes.
yeah, and it's like it's weird because it's another mechanic to do, except this mechanic has always existed technically. It's just now that you can see it. So it's much easier to do. You don't have to be a crazy person.
It kind of makes you want to figure it out.
Yeah, it's just it's another thing to actually fiddle with and do in the game that will actually let you enhance your team in a visible way, which you could have done before if you were crazy.
So is that what the super training's all
Yeah,
about?
that's the
as
super
well?
training.
Yeah.
That's effort values, basically.
So you can do it through either fighting,
Yeah, either
stuff,
fighting or
you can
doing the
influence it,
minigames.
right?
So yeah, that's the new thing. The thing is that they still haven't exposed is beyond the EV training. There's IVs, which are like individual values, which are what the Pokemon get when they are created, or like when you hatch them out of an egg.
Right.
Those are still hidden. So that's like the third layer of ridiculousness. And that is an even more ridiculous system that I would still probably not ever going to get into. Where it's like, they have added in X and Y. There is a dude you can talk to, and he will tell you basically how high the IVs are in each stat. So if you talk to him and he's like, "Well, this Pokemon is perfect in strength," and you know it's got maximum IVs in strength.
Right.
Right.
So there's at least a way in the game to find it out, because before you had to do like maths and shit based on all kinds of ridiculous hidden variables. But so, like, the whole idea of making a literal perfect Pokemon for competitions is you have to get as many of the individual values to maximum as possible. And the only way to do that is to, like, breed. Because when they breed, they pass down a certain number of their individual values. And if you can make them pass down the ones that are maximum, you can make them pass down more that are maximum to the next generation, and so on and so on. And then you have to get the right nature and get the right statistics, and then EV train them, and then level them up. So I'm not ever going to probably go to IVs. That's ridiculous. I might casually do it. I might not go for, like, maximum. It might be like, maybe I want good attack.
It's kind of annoying that they sound like Pokemon themselves.
What?
Or EV and IV.
Yeah, the EV. Because that actually is a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Can you get... Well, have you EV trained your EV? Is it...
I've started breeding EV, so I'm probably going to IV EV.
You're trying to get the best IV on your EV, and then you can EV train it. And then finally...
IV the EV, and then EV the EV.
and then,
and then EXP the EV.
Exactly.
Max IV, Max EV, EV.
So yeah, that's like, so this new system that they've surfaced that actually is a thing. And then of course there's the really dumb and stupid thing with, like, pet your Pokemon, lols,
Oh yeah.
on the touchscreen.
Does that give you anything?
Yeah, unfortunately it does.
Shit.
It's like and the really dumb thing about it is that it has, like, their affection, which levels up when you poke them or whatever.
Wow.
They have their affection, but in the previous games there was already a hidden value that was friendliness, and that's actually totally separate from affection and still exists. So there's certain Pokemon that only evolve when they're friendly, and that's not the same as affection. So you can't increase friendliness by playing the stupid affection mini games. You still have to upgrade friendliness the normal way of walking around with them in your party. And it's like, wow, that's totally unnecessary. You could have, that, unlike the hidden other variables that you already had, you could have combined those two systems and it would have been good. But no, you decided to make it unnecessarily complicated.
And is experience share as annoying as you thought it would be?
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to continue talking about poking Pokemon in the face. Because it's really dumb. What it actually gets you, the affection, when it levels up, it gets you bonus XP, which is obviously awesome for leveling up faster.
Okay, that's crazy.
So you don't have to grind as much. It gets you, sometimes they'll just evade attacks, and sometimes they'll just cure status effects themselves.
Weird.
Which
just
is like
poking them in the face when
yeah,
you're out of the fight.
just from the affection.
I'm immune to poison because I am filled with love.
Yep, basically, unfortunately. So yeah, so you have to, like, pet them and stuff. But the trouble with that is, I'd say probably the majority of Pokemon that exist are not in any way cute. It's like, I'm going to pet my giant fucking bee monster.
or your Pseudo-Wudo, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, that's much worse.
I want to see the model for Pseudo-Wudo, though.
Well, I think it'll probably look quite similar. It's like giant fucking Venusaur, and like, these Pokemon are not cute.
Right, yeah.
Why don't you pet me in the teeth?
Yeah. So yeah, it's fine when they're tiny, like, unevolved Pokemon. Those are sometimes kind of cute, like Pikachu or whatever.
Well, yeah, they are the cute things, but then
when they level up and you're still having to do it.
You're purposefully evolving them into fighting demons.
And then you still have to pet their stupid faces. Or
Charizard,
play dumb
Charizard.
minigames. So yeah, that's really dumb and stupid. I think it's especially bad for my giant bee monster in my team.
Can you just jump onto a Snorlax and just sort of relax on it? Would that
Probably.
count? You're giving me a hug, bitch.
It probably doesn't give a shit because it's a Snorlax. They see things like. So yeah, that's dumb. And then you feed them stupid food, and there's nothing to it. It's just like, all you do is, like, feed them until they're full, pet them a couple of times, play the mini games, and then that decreases their fullness, and then you feed them again, and then you play the mini games again, and then you feed them again. Repeat until they're at maximum affection, and then you're done.
Could that possibly have been slightly more engaging if they'd have done it in a sort of Tamagotchi-like sense, where it's like real time? elements,
maybe, yeah,
but not in the repetitive kind of way.
I mean,
where you have to just go feed. Like you feed it once and then you're done. You pet it once, then you're done. But you have to come back to it in like
well,
a few hours.
The hunger does go down over time as well if you don't want to play the dumb mini games.
But is it like? Presumably, it's only in-game time.
Well, yeah, it's not actual time. Or maybe it is, actually. I don't know. I haven't really noticed how fast it goes down because I'm never looking at that screen where it tells you. I'm always looking at the super training screen for doing the EVs. So yeah, that's dumb. And then the experience share, which is the other sort of, I don't know, controversy that people came across early on. Basically, you get experience share almost immediately, like right after the first gym. They give you experience share, and it's no longer a single item that you equip to a Pokemon, which is how it used to work. Because it used to be you'd have the experience share, and you'd have the one that was doing the fighting, and then you'd have the experience share on the one that you were training, and then it would split the experience.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
And then in like Black and White, you could actually get multiple experience shares, and then it would like partition the experience out across however many there were. So it's like if you had 3 of them, it would do it into thirds or whatever. So what they've done now is they give you the experience share almost immediately. It's not an item any longer, it's just a thing you can turn on, like a toggle, and it affects your entire party. So all the Pokemon in your party get experience share. But the thing is, it's not so much experience share as it is experience more. Because it's like the lead Pokemon that's fighting gets full experience, and all the other ones get half experience. So you end up with like way more experience overall. You get like 500% experience, basically.
Why would you turn that off?
Well, the thing about it is that for the first time ever that this has ever happened in a Pokemon game, I'd had it on for a while, and I was actually running up against the limit where if you outlevel your gym badge, they won't obey you any longer.
Oh.
And it's like for the first time ever that actually became relevant because there was so much experience coming in from the experience share, I'd almost outleveled my gym badge. And then I was like, well, I guess I should probably turn that off for a while.
Or use a different team.
Well, yeah, and then I trained up the B team.
Yeah, perhaps that's encouraging you just to...
But the thing about that is, like...
Does your B team have the bee monster in it?
No, the B team's in my A team. The B monster's in my A team.
No, it's not really the B team.
But so the thing about experience share actually is that it's not really that necessary for training up your team. Or, you know, it's like it's never been necessary for training up your team. You never had the problem of being underleveled in any of the other Pokemon games. You just got enough experience sort of naturally if you were only using your team to do the main fighting. Mm-hmm. You never really had to grind.
One we have to think though, because as you say, there's like hundreds and hundreds of Pokemon in this game. Perhaps they put something like that in there so people could actually just use more of them.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about experience share is what it's actually good for is leveling up Pokemon that you haven't leveled before, and like you could level up basically 5 out of 6 of a new team as far, you know, almost instantly.
Yeah,
because you could use your main Pokemon, your starter or whatever from your main team, have like 5 level 1s, and they'll just level up super quickly just from the experience of like killing level 60 stuff with your main. So you can train up a new team in almost no time. That's what it's actually useful for. And if you want to do like breeding, and if you want to complete your Pokedex by evolving things, whether you have to level up, you can do it actually really quickly using that new experience share. So it's like I don't think it actually matters for the game part of it. It only matters for the completionist part of it, and for being slightly convenient for training up new members if you want to change your team out.
Potentially making it a bit less grindy for people that do just want to go from place to place.
If you just want to get the story done, you level up to the edge of your gym badge range, and then you're still good. You can still one-shot everything regardless of type, as is tradition. So yeah, that's that game. It's still Pokemon, but the animations are awesome. And the weird thing is, like...
We can now actually literally poke.
Poke the mons. The weird thing about it is, like, there's so many fucking Pokemon in this game, but the world is, like, tiny. It's like the world...
So the rendering has taken a bit of a toll, you think?
No, I don't think it's that. It's just, like, they haven't scaled the world very much. I guess because it's sort of annoying to travel. There's, like, what you're doing is just walking through grass in between towns and then getting attacked a lot. That's not really fun, I guess. But there's just like the towns are super close together and the world isn't very big. But every one of these little routes in between towns will have like 5 different Pokemon from every other route.
Right.
So there's always like a million new Pokemon every time you step into a new area of grass. So there's actually a goddamn. It's like the Pokemon.
That's what all RPGs are kind of based on, isn't it? Like as you move through the world, like you have to fight stuff to move.
Well, yeah,
but then as you move, like it's the interesting new stuff you find in the area that keeps it engaging.
Yeah, but and I think that's what they've upped that even more, but they haven't made the world feel big enough for it.
Oh, I see what you mean. So it's like the engagement is there, but it's
like you're walking, like 2 towns are like 1 screen apart and there's 1 patch of grass, and that 1 patch of grass is going to have like 5 or 6 goddamn new Pokemon, so you just have to run up and down in that 1 bit of grass for a while.
Oh. Well, surely there's no technical reason they couldn't have larger
worlds,
grass. I don't know. I guess if you then want to travel between areas without fighting Pokemon, it would take longer.
So then you get fly earlier as well, don't you? Or...
I don't know about earlier. It's probably about the same. Maybe the world just seems smaller, so it seemed like I got there.
Right.
But then like it's so the world like in terms of towns and routes between towns and stuff, it's technically the same size as it's always been because there's still like 8 cities with 8 gyms. And
Right.
So that's still the same number. But then, like, if you look at the Pokedex is split into 3 segments now because there's like central, coastal, and mountain, and each of those 3 segments has 150 Pokemon in. So it's like there's fucking 450 Pokemon that you can just get from walking around in the grass in this tiny ass world.
That is a bit weird.
And then the other 300. You reckon are trade-ups, or?
Well, I presume that there's going to be, after you've done the Elite Four and all that, they'll unlock the end game mode or whatever, like they did in the last games.
Right.
And and the other thing is these 450 aren't, obviously, because there's 450 of them, they aren't all new. It's a lot of the old one, but that's fine. It's always kind of funny when you can pretty easily just by looking at the model tell which generation of game they were from. It's like, that's a Generation 1 one because it looks really generic. It's not very well animated. It doesn't have very many small parts.
It's made of spheres.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, and they've also they haven't really. Oh, this is another thing that I should mention. They haven't really changed. They've done some work to the Pokemon noises that they make.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, they decided to have Pikachu actually have the Pikachu sound effects.
The only one.
It says Pikachu and stuff.
What does Raichu do? Nothing.
No, it just has it has that normal stupid electronic sound that it had before, which is really dumb. It's like, why do just one? It's so out of place.
Do you reckon they sampled enough? Well, it's the thing, because they're not simulating those sounds anymore. I guess they probably would have had to have sampled the oldish sounds to make the newish sounds.
I think what they've done is they've sort of upgraded them, because in a lot of in some cases they almost don't sound like the same sound effect, but unless you know what the old sound effect was like, it's like they've modulated it and mixed other
reverbed it.
Yeah, reverbed it and stuff to make it sound more like an actual sound that an animal could make instead of just a bit crunched 8-bit noise.
Pretty much, that's the only thing I seem to remember. Whenever I hear a Pokemon, they always sound a bit like.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's what Pokemon sound like, pretty much.
And then there's the other one, big ones that just go.
So yeah, they've still got those dumb sound. It's like that. So apparently, I don't know, Pokemon, the next one, we might actually get sound effects. We've got models, maybe sound effects next.
But this is the thing, where I was going with that is do you reckon they've got to the point where those sound effects are made using samples in the game, or are they still using synthesizers to make the sounds? Because because that was always the reason why they were so shitty and why they carried on. Because if you think about it, 700 odd Pokemon creating, you'd need 1,400, maybe 2,100 different samples for every Pokemon to cover them all with and get voice actors to do those. And it's the
thing is a lot of the sound effects that they've used don't sound anything like they could fit words. It's like Pikachu has the same syllable layout of the that sound. Well, no, I guess it doesn't really have the same syllable layout. I can't even remember. I guess its original sound, the original Pikachu sound effect from Red was just another electric noise. No, not that one. But it's the trouble is a lot of I don't know how. I mean, presumably they've already solved this problem in the anime because in that world, Pokemon
Everyone talks.
Well, yeah,
Ish.
actually,
Everyone says their name.
Actually, I'm not sure that they do. That's the thing, because if you, from what even I remember of the early parts of the anime, like Charizard doesn't say Charizard because it evolved out of that. It used to say Charmander, Charmeleon.
Charmander. No, I think he did occasionally just go. Char.
Maybe, but mostly he just roared.
He did say Charizard, but I think he would go. Char.
Mostly he just roared and set shit on fire, from what I remember. But it's like, so a lot of these Pokemon probably don't. And then, like, they have dumb names that probably wouldn't even be able to be used in that way.
But the thing is like, if you really, actually, I don't know quite which one I prefer. Actually, out of the two, it's like I think I would prefer the voice samples because the voice samples are so dumb. like Charmander.
Okay,
it's a kind of really dumb idea anyway. Just purely because you just want Goldeen. Like, that's what you really want.
Bring that from Smash Bros. I wonder if that was like that in the anime. Where the Goldeen sounds weirdly posh for some reason.
Goldeen.
Well, Goldeen was clearly the posh variant of Magikarp or whatever.
No.
Which was the crap variant.
I remember Gyarados having a...
No, that just had a roar, I'm fairly sure.
Mewtwo could just fucking talk.
Yeah, I guess. Nat. And then Magikarp's like, carp.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Carp.
I guess.
Psyduck.
What?
Psyduck.
Oh, yeah, Psyduck.
Still the coolest. But, I want to know what, how Pseudo-Wudo is said, actually.
Yeah, Pseudo-Wudo.
I hope it's Japanese. Pseudo-Wudo.
Probably. I mean, in the original, presumably it would have been.
Except it would be really slow because he's a fucking tree. So
it's not a tree, though. It's a rock. Hence the part of pseudo.
Even slower, then, because he's a fucking rock.
I don't think speed was represented in... Apart from, like, Slowpoke, probably.
No, he sort of said Slowpoke.
What about Snorlax?
I'm not sure.
Snorlax was just like, Snorlax.
We're just making shit up. I'm not sure you've ever seen the episodes.
Snorlax was like that. Yeah. Snorlax.
I mean, apart from Snorlax is in Smash Bros. So there you go.
The creepiest is still Clefairy, I think, probably. Oh no, hang on. The hands thing is notoriously creepy. The clown.
What,
Mr. Mime?
Mr. Mime, yeah.
Or Jinx.
Yeah, fucking Jinx.
Yeah.
Mr. Mime is actually sort of cool in 3D, really, because he does like miming the glass movements as he's standing and doing his attacks.
Oh, that's cool.
The glass box, and then when he dies, he does a dramatic pose.
That's kind of cool.
That's actually kind of nice.
Gullipa.
Haven't seen one of them yet.
Wow, my friend.
Right.
Enough of Rob making Pokemon noises.
Yeah, I don't know, trying to see how many I can remember.
We should ask him what he's been playing, I reckon. Unless you've got anything else out.
All the ones from Smash Bros.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I didn't see any of the cartoon past. When was that? When did that even start? How old were we when that started airing?
Who knows?
Like 12?
Pokemon?
Yeah.
That was 98, wasn't it?
Don't know.
Was it? Or was it earlier than that? No. I reckon it was around 98.
I don't know. Was the cartoon before the first game? Because
it would have been before.
I mean, in England.
Oh, well, maybe. Yeah.
I think it was around. Oh, it was almost exactly the same time, wasn't it? Because they were both delayed, right, compared to the Japanese launch. I mean, how old was it when it came out? Like 3 years old or something?
I want to say it was 96.
No, that seems too long.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the game and the cartoon started almost at the same time in England.
Maybe 98 is right.
Copyright Game Freak, 1998.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the only reason that I remember that, because it's on the fucking title screen of every Pokemon game, regardless of where it's like 98, 99, 2001.
Do they have the epic list of numbers?
They pretty much do.
Cool.
I didn't actually see it on this one. Last one, the black and white, they did still.
There must come a point where they just put the logo on and say, fuck the copyright, we'll put that in the credits.
Yeah, probably.
It's too fucking long now.
Yep.
Otherwise, Ninties would be bonkers. Like, every fucking year.
Well, the only reason it's like that for Pokemon is because that's when the designs of the Pokemon were made, presumably.
Yeah. Oh, I guess. But then, would you have to put one for every Mario game ever made, or is it just like when they introduced every character that was in Mario?
Maybe. So anyway, let's start talking about Pokemon, I guess.
Yeah.
Rob, what have you been playing?
Yeah.
I know one of the things you've been playing. I finished.
Yeah, I finished The Last of Us.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think I may have beaten most other gaming press, like in terms of like how long it took me to actually finish that game. Because most people have that moment where it's just like, I can't be fucking dealing with this.
Yeah, and you just ground through it.
Yeah. To be honest, that game remains following on from what I was talking about last time. That game kind of remains the same throughout.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't really ever mix it up much. I mean, the winter section in the game had both the best and worst bits of the game, I think.
Okay.
There was a couple of sections that were truly terrible, but then had a couple of amazing sections. And it wouldn't be a Naughty Dog game without, possible spoiler alert, Nolan fucking North.
Of course.
But I didn't recognise who he was. I didn't recognise his character until the trailer, like in the credit sequence, it specifically says, and Nolan North.
As this guy.
As this guy. And I'm like, really? Wow. Okay, maybe Nolan does have range. After all.
I'm in space.
It's not Nathan Drake or Deadpool. It's like,
I'm in space.
I'm in space. Pretty much anyone could have played that fucking role.
That's true. That's true.
Did he also play some of the turrets in that game?
Broken turrets.
Yeah, broken turrets. Yeah, but so the quality definitely does. As I say, apart from those couple of real bad points, the quality does stay high. But then so does this feel, and the ending is kind of. Without going into spoiler territory, the ending is kind of just like the rest of the game. It kind of just comes and goes.
Right.
And it's like, I think I was a little disappointed with the overall narrative, in that it's in this weird place where the writing is generally very, very good, but the overall
individual
story,
scenes. Yeah.
Like the moment to moment writing, I think, is very, very good, and the acting of it is very, very good. But it's just the overall narrative just isn't actually that engaging.
It's like
I think you get that quite a lot.
Yeah, you go to a place, you do a thing, that sequence is over, you carry on.
Yeah,
it's like it's basically the most of the story is one big journey. You know right from the start where you're kind of going. And perhaps that plan changes like very, very slightly at a couple of points throughout the game. But generally it's you've got to go to this place. And that's the entire narrative, really. But then stuff sort of happens on the way in its own little miniature chunks. It kind of feels a bit Mass Effect-y in that way. Right. Where there's these little chunks of story that aren't necessarily connected to each other, but just sort of happen because you happen to be there.
And I'm not sure that had like quite big... like medium chunks of story, didn't it? Like you'd do a planet or whatever, it had like its own self-contained kind of story.
I mean, I suppose what I'm thinking about there is like the loyalty missions and stuff. They were kind of their own self-contained chunks. And,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think Zach and I brought this up, like we're talking about this earlier, like the whole race against time thing. Like,
oh, that was hilarious. That's still my favorite.
It's a race against time. No, I'm just going to fuck off to this planet and do this thing.
That kind of embodies what was wrong with Mass Effect 1 in my eyes. Was definitely that race against time entry in the. That was the main quest line. Was called Race Against Time, wasn't it?
Yeah. As Jim Sterling would say, the ludonarrative dissonance in that game.
That's fucking everyone would say.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty bad. But as I say, there's not too much of that. The dissonance effect isn't there in Last Effect, because, Last of Us, because I call it Last Effect.
Good one.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that the gameplay is better for it. I still stand by what I said, that it's kind of I got kind of into the swing of it more towards the end, I think. I sort of found my feet a little better.
Okay.
In how to tackle scenarios. Basically, it involved using the bow all the fucking time.
Okay, bow it up.
Yeah, because providing you have arrows, that's just the most effective way to kill people without revealing your position.
Okay.
And it can be, it's all purpose. It could be used to distract. If you miss them and it hits a wall somewhere else, then people will go, oh, what the fuck was that? And so you still get the benefit from it if you miss. And it's
I remember
Yeah.
that being quite powerful in Assassin's Creed. Once you get like the crossbow or whatever, you can do silent takedowns from miles away.
Yeah, it was quite neat because then you no longer needed to bother with the fucking gun.
Yeah.
As soon as you had the crossbow, really quite nice. Yeah, I don't really, not really sure quite what to add to it really from the last discussions. It's just, as I say, it just ends kind of like how the rest of the game is, and then you're done. Credits.
Is it going
So
to
it's
be...
not that climatic, really. I mean, it has some nods towards the intro sequence, which are kind of clever. But then, I guess the thing I was a little bit funny about is the kind of my feelings towards Joel as a character at the end of the game still remain somewhat muddy.
Right. Okay.
And maybe that's kind of the point. You're in this sort of like morally
Grey,
questionable world.
Yeah.
And you feel I ended up feeling about Joel, despite, his, character development throughout the game to being he's mostly a stand-up guy. But then every now and then he'll do this thing and you'll not be so sure about it. And the ending is kind of one of those moments. And I'm not sure that leaves me with a great taste. I'm a bit traditionalist in that I like a happy ending and I like feeling, all right, that's done. That was satisfying.
Yeah.
And this is playing that sort of slightly arty ending, which isn't that satisfying, really.
Well, you were
you
were very pleased with the ending of. You enjoyed the ending of BioShock, and that's not exactly the happiest, is it?
No, but it
is, but it is a good ending.
It's an ending. There's more. There's much more to that ending than there pretty much is than the rest of the whole fucking narrative.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so by that logic, it feels like a reward.
Yeah, because it's a massive like info dump of like lore basically and craziness.
Yeah. Whereas I don't think The Last of Us really felt like a reward, and it's like it fits in the story, I guess, but.
Mm-hmm. But it's a bit hollow compared to
But then that's kind of the whole game. That's it's consistent.
And like I was just thinking of a comparison of a story that's kind of generic and just continues going from place to place. This is like Fallout 3, where you just come to the end and you just like insert the water curing device into the machine and push the button and then everything's good and then you just walk away. But then in Fallout 3 that's not actually the end because it's an open world, so it doesn't put you back in.
Yeah, true.
It's like the story of Fallout 3 sucks, but that's not what you're there for. There's all this other stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Kind of same with Skyrim, I guess, probably. Like the actual, although that's different because like the main quest line isn't even. It's just one of the big quest lines, isn't it? So, like, you've got
I guess so.
Sort of, yeah.
I mean, at least that quest does have, it gets different at the end with the afterlife shit.
Yeah,
moderately interesting, although still dumb. Where you're like, let's fight the most evil, deadly dragon in the entire world by waiting for it to land and then stabbing it over and over like we have done with every other dragon.
Like every other dragon.
Woo! I guess the other thing that kind of bummed me out about Last of Us's ending was that it's a little predictable.
Yeah.
Nothing about that narrative is really.
Yeah, well, like you said, from the start you're going to a place, and then you go to a place, and that's pretty much it. Yeah. You just do the thing you were going to do. There's no twist.
And the typical "I can't trust anyone" thing makes you immediately not trust anyone. So it's like, well, that's going to happen then, isn't it? Yep, no, that happened.
So not a game of the year.
No, I don't think it would be in my running. It's an incredibly impressive piece of work, but from my general enjoyment, I don't think it can be up there.
I still don't know what we've got. What have you got, Zach, for that DBO, like in the running for your game of the year? I mean, I know this is slightly jumping the gun, but I mean,
slightly. Let's try not to talk about this too much.
In fairness, we will have to considerably. This is the time where we should really start thinking about.
Yeah, but not on air.
No. Yeah, but do you
don't
have
want to give away our episode?
Do you have anything you'd consider that highly?
Well, my problem is I never remember which year games come out in, so I actually have to go look at a list, particularly for the earlier parts of the year. Right, I mean, obviously there's Mystery Dungeon. That's going to be somewhere in there.
Oh, I don't know. I think that might be last year.
No, that was this year.
Was it?
Oh. Okay.
It came out well in Europe.
Oh, right.
It came out with the 3DS pretty much.
Yeah, that counts. That's allowed.
Yeah, well, I was thinking it would be.
Yes, that counts.
if it's only coming out in our territory at the time when I can get it.
Yeah.
So you definitely think Pokemon Mystery Dungeon is superior to X and Y?
Well, it's a different game, but I liked it more.
Right. Well, there you go.
Well, I guess I haven't finished X and Y yet, so maybe
Dramatic.
Which one did you get, X or Y?
I got Y.
I thought so. Everyone gets Y because X sounds cooler, so everyone gets Y.
What's the logical plan?
Exactly.
Because you think everyone else is going to have
X, so you have better trading options.
Exactly.
I like that.
But then, that it's like you can't keep flipping the reverse psychology forever.
Yeah.
So probably in reality, I bet it's probably like 50-50. Because there'll be people who'll be like reverse psychology, and then there'll be people like, no, reverse psychology.
Yeah.
And then it will just even out.
I'm sure it must be. Yeah. I mean, presumably they would have changed how they tackle Pokemon if it's been a problem at some point.
Well, yeah.
What, that everyone buys one version?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think... Well, I've been seeing it more, but I'm sure it's always been the case. There's still crazy people who just buy both versions.
Well, yeah, of course.
And they just trade between themselves.
Stupid
idiots.
My problem with X and with Y is I haven't looked up which ones are the ones that appear in the different versions, so I don't know. So I don't know why. Like, should I be trying to trade this? I don't know whether it's not in the other version or not.
I see.
I should maybe think about looking at that.
You're thinking of the value of it.
Yeah, it's like you want to try and like breed your starter Pokemon. Those are always valuable.
Mm.
So, Last of Us then. So that's your main thing.
That's pretty much all you've played.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we went into Guild Wars again briefly, didn't we?
Yeah.
To do a bit of Halloween-y stuff, but I don't really think there's much to say there either.
Well, you weren't in.
I wasn't in the main events. No.
Yeah, and the main events were much less than last time. Last year's Halloween. It was more simple, just a little mini, not even a dungeon, just like a fight.
Yeah, I played a bit more Magic actually. I suppose I finished the main campaign and Magic the Gathering with the White Weenie deck, which just destroys everything.
Naturally.
And I did start a plane chase game, but I didn't have enough time at the moment to really get into that. And it's like it turns out those games look like they're going to go on for a while.
Right.
Like
okay.
if you're going to try and get involved in one of those, that looks like it's going to be a long game. So I will maybe attempt that at some point when I feel like I have time and can be bothered. I suppose the other thing I had to do actually, I invested a few hours into Civ V single player.
Yeah,
because
that's like 1% of a Civ V game.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I sort of went with the Egyptians, started a new game again, and went with them because like the last time Zach and I started a multiplayer game, my Egyptian run seemed to be going quite well.
The Egyptians are good in the early game, of course, because of their wonder building bonus.
Exactly. So I thought maybe I'd go with that and get myself a bit of a leg up at the start. And except that plan seems to have failed me a little bit because the Swedish can't be trusted.
Well,
Sons of bitches.
Because you didn't.
I just ended up in a big old military mode, and I hadn't been focusing on my military at all, and then had to try and backtrack. And now I'm being bright bastards to the Swedish, so it kind of turned around in the end. But
I guess that's just something you have to learn about Civ. Is like you have to learn how much military is just enough.
Yeah, it's like I kind of thought that perhaps the key to success in Civ was to be focused. Like from how some of my stuff in the Japanese went in the multiplayer, where I was a bit too all over the place.
Well, you have to be focused to some extent.
Yeah, but then that's what cost me this time because I was completely not military focused at all, and it's
You just have to have just enough to appear slightly threatening, keep them up to date, and then also try and play to the landscape. Of course, that's the other trick.
The problem is now I actually don't know after all this fighting. I'm not entirely sure what my focus was and what it is anymore.
Science.
So, yeah.
This is the only thing that ever matters in Civ.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into the faith stuff much,
From the
from the Gods and Kings expansion, which is also enabled in my play. But I think I've fallen way behind on that approach this time. So I don't know if I can really investigate that much. But,
right. Yeah.
It's just like influence mechanics, basically. You can sort of take over places eventually just through religious influence. But I don't know how easy or hard that is to get involved with or to avoid. But
the thing about that in the older games was you could do that with culture as well as religion back in the older games, which was like a double ridiculous layout.
Yeah.
But now I guess they probably toned it down quite a lot because obviously you can't do that through culture any longer.
Yeah. And espionage is back as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't quite figured out what the purpose of that is yet.
Well, you haven't got to an age where it matters yet,
No,
probably.
I've got one spy at the moment. And the only places I've sent him to, I've eventually taken over.
Well,
Fuck those Swedish.
that is sometimes the way to use spies. You plant them in the cities where you're about to attack and then, like, disable the defences or whatever.
Yeah.
Open the barricades or whatever.
Yep. The classic
Well,
plan.
I haven't quite worked out what I can and can't do. It doesn't appear that I can do very much from what the options I've seen. So
you asked in quite an early
it's
part
like
of the
I can look at the city is basically the only thing I seem to have gained so far from it. I can send them to a town and go, oh hey, this is what they are, and you can send them into city states, but that seems like limited value.
Right.
I just haven't figured it out. Don't know. Not sure about it yet.
Need to develop sabotage technology.
Yeah. I don't know. Civ has so many systems that it's maybe it's too much for me. I'm not sure. I kind of understand what the systems can and can't do, but I haven't figured out what a good balance between them is yet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I really want to care, or I'm not sure I really do care while I'm playing it. It's just like everyone's happy, good.
Well, all you care about is happiness, and as I've said several times while you've been playing, it doesn't matter that much.
I know. I have quite a lot of happiness in this game.
Well, yeah, you would do with all the wonders.
Which is the thing, and it's become important because I've taken over places, so I need like extra happiness to keep it in check.
Yeah,
I haven't annexed them; they're still puppets.
Yeah,
but,
you will need more happiness if you want to annex them.
Yeah, because I've taken over one, and I'm gonna take over another pretty shortly because it's undefended right now. So it's like I'm gonna have that.
Wow, as undefended as cities are in Civ V.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some unit garrisoned, but I don't think it's powerful, so I'm just gonna have it. I just want to show the Swedish not to fuck with me. And it's like they've been offering, like, do you want a peace agreement for a few turns? It's like, fuck off.
Well, yeah. I mean, once you've committed to eliminating, you might as well eliminate them.
Yeah, I don't think I could take their capital.
Oh,
it's a bit strong. It's way over my levels, but. So I'm a bit doubtful I could take that.
Get some catapults.
Yeah. Well, their military is technically stronger than me at this point.
Yes, but you have intelligence. They have dumb.
yes. That has worked in my favour. Basically, they don't seem to understand that archers will shoot you.
Yep. They don't understand positioning at all.
No.
As long as you've got a front line with archers behind them, you pretty much just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. That was basically kind of what my tactic was. I needed a sort of sacrificial front line. Because I couldn't take on their knights very well.
Right.
I didn't have pikemen.
Right.
I didn't even have knights, so I was putting like horsemen at the front, just sort of dying because I've got shit tons of horses. And then the archers would because I had composite bowmen for a while, and then eventually I got crossbowmen, which that's the one thing I outlevel the Swedish on.
Oh right.
Is I have crossbowmen and they don't, which worked in my favour. They have catapults though. So maybe they do have crossbow. I don't know.
No, I think crossbow's well after catapults.
Yeah, they got catapults a lot earlier than I did. So yeah, I don't know. It's a real interesting game, but I don't know if I'll ever be good at it properly.
No one's got time to be
the tutorials now.
No, I'm sort of just playing it because it's kind of cool to just sort of lose yourself in it a little.
Yeah, exactly.
The one more turn effect is dangerous.
Yep,
I played for way too long on a work night. It's a quality game.
Cool. Okay. Oh,
I heard that it's not long until Ace Patrol comes out on Steam.
Oh, I'm quite excited because there's an Ace Patrol 2, which is like Pacific, and that's coming out on Steam like shortly.
I never got around to really playing much of that in the end. But
well, I quite like the idea of a Pacific one, World War II one. That might be quite good if they've added more mechanics and stuff. It might be quite a fun little game on Steam, maybe. Like play it in a little window or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like doing other shit. That'd be quite nice.
Working.
Yeah, potentially. Anyway. How are we doing for time? Have we got a
we're pretty much at our normal boundary.
This is the unlimited file, though, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Talk, Dan. Tell us.
Talk about whatever the fuck you want, man. We're good.
Yep.
Oh, well. Been playing Grand Theft Auto, of course. Still good.
Still going.
Yeah, there's
not
been
fatigued yet.
No, there's been some good missions that haven't been heists, but I was surprised. There's been a few missions that are, multi-character with switching and stuff that aren't heists.
cool.
So that's been quite cool. There've been some like nice high-speed chases and things, out into the highways and stuff and the wilderness. Like I just did one where you had to where Michael shot down a private jet, and then as Trevor, you had to chase it as it crashed, as it was coming down on a dirt bike to actually land next to it. Well, to drive up to it when it crashed. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure you want to be next to it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you had to get in and steal some stuff from it or whatever. So, but yeah, that was kind of cool. So yeah, there's been some good missions, and still enjoying it.
Still haven't dabbled with GTA Online?
No, I haven't given that a go. I don't. That doesn't really draw me. Although I did see a video. I didn't actually watch the video, but some people were. I think it was Eurogamer, but they were trying to make up games to play in GTA Online, and one of them was like Car Conkers with the cargo bob, which is the like Chinook, so you can like hook up, because one of the missions is you the one of the heists is you carry depending on which version of the heist you choose. The one I chose, you carry the submarine underslung under a helicopter, under this big helicopter, and so it has a winch and stuff, so you can just pick up cars, I think, and then they were just playing Conkers by like two people flying helicopters and trying to smash cars into each other. So that's so that kind of hilarious stuff is kind of what you want from GTA Online, because I gather that whenever anyone sees each other, they mostly just murder each other for no reason.
Yep,
Which is a bit dumb. So I guess it'd be fun to get in a lobby like into the world with friends or whatever, and actually like make up some random stuff, because there's probably all kinds of stuff
before,
you could do.
wasn't it? They didn't need GTA Online to do that.
We could only do it through like mods.
Oh, really?
GTA 4 mods.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Maybe they should have just done that.
Yeah, maybe it'd be more fun as mods when the PC version finally does come out, which I expect it will. But yeah, no, I'm not really tempted to go into that, but I might do one time. But
it's an evolving thing, so
yeah, exactly.
It may end up going in some interesting directions, but
they do keep patching it though, so I think it is being worked on. So
do you forcibly have to get the patch even if you're not interested in GTA Online? Or
yeah, it just you boot it up. It's a 360 game. It says, "Oh, you need an update." It's like, oh, fine.
Boop. I wonder how big those updates are.
Reasonable, but I seem to have quite fast internet, so it doesn't take any time. But they're like 40 meg or something. I don't know. Yeah, so that's all good. I'll let you know if there are any more heists incoming or any cool. I haven't seen too much countryside, but I have a feeling that they've just done something in the story that means we're going to spend more time in the countryside. So that might be quite good. So I'll report back on that. Yes, Bigfoot, hopefully. Well, Bigfoot was notoriously, supposedly in San Andreas, so I'm sure it probably is in. Because they put him into Red Dead, didn't they, in the Undead Nightmare?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? We'll see. And maybe hopefully fly some more planes as well, because I haven't been flying too much recently after that helicopter mission. Well, actually, there's quite a few helicopter bits, but not too much plane bits lately. So hopefully there'll be more plane stuff. I certainly haven't flown the private jet. I know that that's in the game, right? Flying the jets, so that should be cool.
They got that stupid flightless plane, the one that's not supposed to fly. You have to.
The terrible one.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know. Is that? As I was asking, is that still there? Or...
I don't remember that. What was it?
There was a. Was it Vice City that was in, or was it the original GTA?
Oh
3?
yeah, no, it was
Andreas?
Vice City. No, it was Vice City. No, San Andreas had proper planes, so it was Vice City, wasn't it? That had a plane that you weren't supposed to fly, and you kind of
and it timed you on how long you could keep it in the air.
Because Vice City had helicopters, right? It did have helicopters, but you could fly, I think.
I can't remember. I never played that one.
But it didn't have planes, but except for this one, yeah, dodgy one.
Like the inversion of Battlefield Desert Combat, whereas like the helicopters were not meant to exist and were impossible to fly, rather than and then the planes were okay because it was plane physics that had been converted into a helicopter.
That's true. I really like the helicopters in in Desert Combat though. They were like impossible to land because you had digital control of the throttle, so you had to keep tapping it at a precise rate in order to slow down enough to land. But you could do it. That was hilarious. Yeah, because it was too simple. The flying in Vietnam, and even in subsequent games. I mean,
it was too simple and not actually as like useful as it should have been. So it's like, I can hover at a precise height above the ground, except it's really actually difficult to alter that height and have it and like go over hills and stuff.
Yeah, and like shoot
still
things on the ground. Yeah,
I still find choppers tricky, even if like, they do feel easier than they did in 2.
Yeah,
Battlefield 2, but I seem to remember I had more success in Battlefield 2, like flying stuff, because that would be getting out. I guess that was a time when people didn't necessarily have a dual stick controller plugged into their PC that often. I had an adapter and was using a PS1 controller, I think, to do it, which I think gave me a bit of an advantage. But
as we were saying before when we were talking about Battlefield 3, it's like the trouble with the helicopters is you just get in them and you just immediately get shot by a million things.
It's just too much comes at you as soon as you get in a vehicle in those games now.
Choppers in.
You don't have the unlocks.
I just find it really tricky to see people as well. I don't know, there's something about the sort of fuzzy screen effect they put over on the tank that just makes it kind of tricky to actually see. Even if there's a dude right next to you, it's like, where the fuck is he? Actually, you have like the proximity sensor, but that's you don't really be looking at a map for that. But
and it also fills up one of your unlock slots.
Yeah, exactly.
Something don't want
something crucial.
Yeah, the choppers in 5 in GTA are they're cool to fly and stuff, but they're a little bit squirrely. It's quite hard to get them to fly without sort of wobbling, because if you adjust, then they sort of swing one way and then they start swinging back and forth if you're not careful, which is a bit annoying. But
a bit wobbly.
Yeah, but it is possible to fly them fast and through buildings and under bridges and stuff, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So, yes, should we wrap this up then?
I guess. Are you guys going to be doing anything interesting in the next 2 weeks, game-wise? Because I suppose at the end of these 2 weeks, we'll have all the PS4 launch stuff to talk about.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Well, maybe at some point in the less distant future, Starbound Beta will happen, because it's almost officially said that it's going to happen.
Oh yeah, that was news, wasn't it?
Was it?
Dark Souls 2 supposedly was going to have its beta,
and it fucked up.
They're incredibly narrow window, like 1 hour beta or something.
SimCity.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's like SimCity. Shit, this game's going to be terrible.
Yep. And then it never happened, so no one's played the beta.
No. But yeah, Starbound's beta is imminent, supposedly. They've made the actual lead developer made a post where he very specifically referenced the beta and laid out what the beta is going to be like, and then didn't give a date because god damn it. But there's only 2 months left in this year, so it's got to happen.
Well, I'm going to be trying to play Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Moving on from Last of Us to another game.
Carrying on with Year of the Bow.
Yeah.
You're going to a game, ironically, slightly more like Uncharted than the latest Naughty Dog.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like now's the time to get it in before Xbox comes out, which may then just eat me up for the rest of the year. Depending on how much I end up sinking into it. And then
makes sense.
It's annoying because there's a couple of indie games that are sort of tempting that I think perhaps one of us should tackle at some point, like Papers, Please or Brothers. Guacamelee was tempting at one point.
Yeah, Guacamelee looked okay. Although I hear the boss fights are awful. Maybe it's worth
I did hear that. New Batman's not worth tackling by the sounds of it, so it's
that
it's a good game, but you don't need it, kind of thing. It's a bit like Assassin's Creed Revelations, I suppose.
Yeah, whatever.
We don't need to tackle anything that we don't want to, because that's why we have the best game of last year's award.
Yeah, or the award of what was the biggest game we really should have played.
Oh yeah, that one too.
Yeah,
we have it covered.
This is the we don't know what the fuck we're talking about award.
The theoretical Game of the Year award.
Yeah. What we should have picked if everyone else was to go by.
Right. Okay, then. Without this time limit, we're just going to talk forever.
Yeah, we're just going to sit here and have random bits of dead air while we think about whether we can end this podcast or not.
I think it is time. Thanks for joining us, listeners, on the Saladcast. Join us next week for all that crap that we just said that we were going to do for next time. And it's not next week, it's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, what are we gonna get after this?
What?
What are we gonna get after this?
Pizza?
Yeah, that's the question. Are we getting pizza?
Okay. I was wondering whether you were talking about something other than our actual real life plans.
What are we gonna get?
Well, I'm sure you guys are going to. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
I have to actually get ready on the stop button.
And you weren't.
I wasn't, no.
You have to
Say
press
bye
it.
again.
Bye.
Bye.